Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week, another episode of 30 NSG on the daily grind. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Another week, another weekend down. More news stories to come. What's going on? Good morning, good morning. What's going on, Roadkill? What's going on, Travis? What's going on, Eclipse? What's going on, JoJo Behemoth? Who am I missing? Water Bear, Jason, Kylo, Quest, good morning. Wonder Rose, good morning. How is everybody doing? On today's show, we're going to be talking about Concord. We got Concord lost over $400 million to developer. It's claimed. We're also going to talk about the Nintendo lawsuit, going over how Nintendo getting its revenge on Palworld. And then we're also going to be talking about Microsoft spends $1 billion a year to bring third-party titles to Game Pass. And then we have other conversations to have. If you like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. We just go over a few of the top stories. Well, not really a few of the top stories, just stories. We watch videos, give you my thoughts and opinions. I've started, or I've updated, I should say, not started. We have a website. We have a website called 30andstillgaming.live that we have. Where you can literally watch the shows and stuff live on my website. You can also go to all the things that we're doing on this all in one spot, right? So we have our Generation X Gaming page that you can go to. It gives you a brief description of what it is. It also gives you the videos here. Okay, so you can go watch the past broadcast there as well. You can also go to, chatting with. Okay, the chatting with, it has the past broadcasts that we've done for the chatting with. We've also have the daily grind, which is every morning. We have all these playlists here, and if you just click here, obviously, there you go. We have the live show directly on our website. And then we also have 30 Plays, which is the other channel that I have, 30 and Still Gaming, where it's basically all of the games that we've been doing, and I'm updating it as I go. But all the games that we've played, I've thrown them up on a playlist. So you can go here and pick a game. And when you click on it, like, let's see, if I click on this, it brings me directly to the playlist on YouTube. And you can watch the playlist. And that goes for all, every single one that's here. So even the Borderlands 2 playthrough that me and Sarge are doing, that's all here as well. So if you guys like to support and watch all in one place, we have a website for you to go check it out. So if you're, you don't want to watch on YouTube, if you don't want to watch, and you don't have to miss anything because chat is up here. Right now you can't see it because it's blocked by, but chat is over on the corner here. Oh, come on now. Not working on Opera GX here, but anyway, it would be here if you're using certain browsers. Apparently, I'm being blocked by my own whatever this is. Blocking content can cause websites to not work. Yeah, so turn on site, turn off site. But it's there. Trust me. So yeah. Getting stuff organized for you because I'm not doing uploads and stuff. I have more time to, and I want to focus on the live stream, right? So GXG, the daily grind, the mornings, chatting with. I have more guests. We have a guest this Wednesday. I think we'll wait until tomorrow to announce that. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in chat here. Roadkill starts off the morning by saying, yeah, that number has come out. He's talking about the Concord number, and he says that other people said that they've never heard of 400 million being talked about, but this is all just Xbox. This is from a PlayStation pony saying about Xbox. But see, for me, I'm neither. I just read the stories, give you my thoughts and opinions on that. Travis says, I'm gonna try a sports analogy here, but Texas Rangers versus the Yankees were both huge franchises. One is bigger, but they are either one underdogs. I don't know what you're trying to say. I guess you're talking about underdogs. Let me see what you're talking about here. It's hilarious. So people like support Xbox. It's the underdog. So it's not if you surpass being worth $1 billion. Yeah, no. Xbox is the underdog in the gaming industry. Microsoft is not the underdog as a company, right? There is a difference. Eclipse says, I don't really care. I don't support either of them. I'm just saying that this is these are the facts, and the facts are that Concord is not here anymore. So yeah, it doesn't matter how much money it cost. It made none. That's right. It made a whopping $0. Whopping $0. Come on, Jason. Jason says, I was most likely more than 200 million. It was mostly like movies. We just don't know how much they get spent on the marketing stuff. And 200 million was just on the development. Well, we don't know exact numbers for movies, but yeah, you can usually take it about double, if not 1.5 times the actual budget of the film. Come on, East Vandal. Good morning. What's going on, Krebsy? Most people would say 5 minutes late is on time. Respect. I had someone at the door. Someone knocked on my door right before the stream went off, and I was like, I'm probably going to be a few minutes late. But we got through that real fast, so I can't be late. It's in my nature. I cannot be late. It kills me. What's going on, Makoki? Waterbear says, some real bangers are about to drop in the last few months of the year. November 15th can't be here soon enough. You got that Path of Exiles. Like, water's like this. Remember that Dave Chappelle skit like 20 years ago? He's like, ah, yeah. That's what Waterbear is with Path of Exile. He can't wait. What's going on, Mo? What's going on, Argus? Yeah, that's it. Tyrone. Yeah. Yeah. Waterbear's Tyrone right now. All right, we're going to start off today. We're going to start off by everyone hitting that like button. That's what we're going to do. Start off on the like button. Let me make sure all of this other stuff is closed down. I don't need all these other... Oh, real quick. Actually, I want to talk about this first. So, it just came out in a report that... where is it? Yeah. So it just came out in a report that Steam, right? Steam broke another record, right? Steam breaks its record for PC players online once again, okay? Now, Steam has once again broken the record for most PC players online, this time hitting an incredible 38.366 million concurrent, okay? So I thought about this, and I was like, I want to do real quick math of what percent of the 38, because anytime you see, usually, like if you look at a YouTube channel, right? If someone has 1 million subscribers, they're usually got, like they could have anywhere between like 10,000 people watching or whatnot, and so on and so forth. Like I have 2,000 and we got about 20, 30 people watching. So it's that same percentage just by different, right? We know back in 2020, okay? In 2020, there was 175 billion PC users. Okay, so in 2020, there was an estimated 1.75 billion PC gamers worldwide, up to 1.5 billion PC users the previous year. So in 2019, there was 1.5. In 2020, there was 1.75. Now, we don't know what it is right now, so I just left it at the 1.75, okay? And when I typed it in, it's 2.2% of 1.75 on the number that we know from 2020. That makes 38 million. Okay, 38.5 million, which is almost directly spot on to this is 38.36. So we're talking like 2.13% of the population of PC gamers out there or concurrently on Steam, which is just massive, right? Which then will go into our other story that we have later, why Microsoft is spending $1 billion on Game Pass and putting it on PC, and they're putting their games everywhere, okay? Because there's over 1.75 billion people out there that PCs, which has gone up, consoles have gone down. So this is just yet another fact that more people are not buying consoles, more people have gaming PCs, and more people are playing on PC Steam, at least, concurrently, more and more as the time passes on, right? So I thought that was interesting. I was like, man, how much is the 38 point? I was like, well, how many people have a gaming PC? Looked it up, 1.75, but that's in 2020 numbers. So we're talking like 2%, maybe 1.75%, 2%, 2.1%, whatever it is, because the number's probably up higher. So it's probably around 2 billion people have a PC now that's a gaming PC, which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. Meanwhile, all the Sony ponies and Xbox are fighting it all of, we have the best console. No, we have the best console. We have the most players. We outdo you 3-1. Meanwhile, PC's like, let me hold my beer. We outdo you like 100-1. So actually like 10-1, but whatever. All right. Argus says, what game are we talking about when it came in? I see defensive of it. I want to know if the game is worth defending. Well, if you're talking about Roadkill's thing, we're talking about Concord costing $400 million. If you're talking about Path of Exile, Waterbear, we were talking about Path of Exile that he wants to play it. Travis says, can I play PC on a 55-inch TV? If not, it doesn't matter. Yes, you can. You just have to make sure if you have a computer and you want to play at the higher frame rate, so you have to make sure your television is at a higher frame rate. But yes, you can. All right, so let's start off with this Concord news here. Let's start off with Concord. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern, a little over noon, okay? We just read the story for the first time, give you my thoughts and opinions, and have conversations with you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond and become a member as little as $5. We just try to get you through a couple hours of your day. If you're at home, if you're at work, if I don't know where you are. Maybe you're in the car, or train, doctor's office. Maybe you're on the toilet. Just trying to get you through the things that you're doing. So keep pushing. We're there for you, okay? So Concord cost over $400 million to develop, it's claimed. Now, it turns out spending nearly a decade developing a game could cost hundreds of millions of dollars, according to new claims. The failed hero shooter Concord cost over $400 million to develop over its reported 8-year development cycle. Now, I want to that whole statement's wrong already, because we know about a couple other stories that we've done in the past. One, we know it's not 8 years. We know that 8 years was like, they had the thought process of it, but it's actually only been 6 years since they've been working on it. So let's remove 2 years of that. Still, that's 6 years of development time because the studio was developed. Now, the concept, yes, the concept was 8 years, but when they started working on it, it's been 6 years of actual development. Now, the $400 million, we do know that the company that worked, that funded the thing before Sony took over, they had $250 million spread across 3 studios and whatnot. So we don't know what percentage went towards Concord with that original $250 million. Okay. Now, on top of that, then we don't know what Sony spent on top of that. But if it cost around $400 million, or let's just say they got $100 million, let's say, from the other one, maybe $125 million, and then Sony gave them the rest, still. But I just want to put it out there for clear, because the $250 million was for 3 studios from originally when Firewalk Studios started, and then when Sony picked them up, they gave them the rest of the cash. So, Colin, formerly of IGN, now as a Sacred Symbols podcast, spoke to someone who worked on Concord and says he verified. As part of the talk with the employee, it wasn't specifically mentioned that he was also a developer of Not. Colin also was given some more details about the game and its poor launch. He says, quote, up to the point that the game went into alpha state, they had already spent about $200 million on it. Okay, Colin also said that mentioning the game entered in alpha sometime in the first quarter of 2023. That's mind-boggling to me that they spent $200 million before the alpha in the first quarter of 2023. So we're talking, we're in the third quarter right now. So a year and a half ago, it was an alpha, and up to that point, it spent $200 million. Okay. Another large bit of information was at major place of the cost of the outsourced development of the other studios in order to simply get the game out the door. He then continued to say that the source told him that the game was also being touted internally as the future of PlayStation. Quote, they also had such a major ambition of the game that it was also referred internationally or internally as a Star Wars-like project of Sony. Colin also said they also repeatedly reinvested over and over again. Okay, so they just kept throwing more money into it. He says, he says, led to a toxic positivity. Currently, it caused a negative feedback about the game to be brushed aside. He said that the people weren't allowed to say anything negative about the game, whether it be the characters, gameplay, or the like. I don't know if that's truthful or not, but we'll go with it because that's what it says in the article. Because obviously, I would assume that the organization votes on, if the bosses say do it, the developers say okay. So it doesn't really matter if they weren't allowed to say it. Maybe they're just tired of saying it. They're like, look, we don't give a shit what you're saying. We're going with this, and this is what we're doing. Even though the developers, they're the worker bees, they're the worker ants, okay? They're just supposed to go get the honey. They're supposed to go get the dirt to make the hill. They'll get the food for the queen, okay? The queen is corporate. Corporate said, you need to make this. Worker bees, worker ants, they just do what they're told, make the product, and then that's it. They should just let it go, okay? And also restarted that the game also sold just about 25,000 copies. And that's the real, as Eclipse said, no matter which way you swing it, 200, 300, 400, I don't care if this cost 100 million. They still only sold 25,000 copies, which is absolutely trash. Okay. So while the information is certainly eye-opening, it's important to note that all of this comes from just one source. Insider Gaming has reached out to PlayStation and Firewalk for comments of these claims. And the news comes a day after it revealed that Concord's game director, Ryan Ellis, was also stepping down from his position to move into a supported role. Okay. So what do you think of this news surrounding the development of launch and shutdown of the Concord, including it cost $400 million to create? Now, we do have two other articles. Okay. Now, we have this article was written on September 20th. Now, Forbes wrote one. Paul Tassi wrote one on September 21st. It says, it seems obvious that Sony was also going to take a huge loss on Concord, given that the high cost immediately disastrous player count, unprecedented shutdown, but it's also even worse than ever thought. It says, a new report from Sacred Symbols Colin, citing that the source would also work on Concord, claims that the game had a higher budget than anyone envisioned. A full $400 million broke up into two halves of development. Okay, it says watch the video below, or you can watch the video below, what he talks about. It says, what happened? So before the game hit alpha state, they already surpassed and spent $200 million on it, okay? Okay, so after that, in 2021 to 2024 launch, Sony spent another $200 million on top of it, and the game was laughable shape. When it showed in alpha state, so Sony felt like it was also needed to spend that much to get a minimal viable product status. There it is, MVP. Okay. Number 3 was a major expense was needed to outsource much of the game's other studios in quarter 1 of 2023. Some aspect of the game had not been worked on, and that's also like onboarding or monetization. I say this is a main explain the price that the no battle pass more than some of the curiosities of noble decision to change the model. Also, how bad earned cosmetics were. Now, ongoing cost to maintain the game would also be additional millions of dollars a month. Okay, and then Concord is the biggest budget game Sony has ever released, which is insane. Think about this, right? Think about this. Spider-Man, when we heard, cost $315 million. Like, what the hell? That's the most expensive game. We're talking about Grand Theft Auto 6 might be $1 billion. But right now, Concord sits at $400 million for a live service game before it even saw anything, right? Before it saw one penny from a pre-order or anything like that, it cost $400 million. And this is a multiplayer game. It's a hero shooter like Overwatch, okay? Yet Spider-Man's a single-player game, and it costs $315 million. This is $400 million. There's a lot of mistakes made in the process of making this game, okay? It says, why did it happen? Concord has said to be the future of PlayStation. They said it was a Star Wars-like project, and there's also big multimedia plans between the cinematics and inclusion in things like Amazon's Secret Level, which is a whole nother thing, right? Because I don't think that's more money Sony put towards Concord, okay? That's more money that they put towards Concord, not per se in the game of Concord, but in the brand of the IP of Concord for the Secret Level. That's more money they threw at the Secret Level, Amazon Secret Level show to do Concord. And I wonder if there's anything else that they wanted to do because of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I wonder if they were supposed to push Concord on the new PlayStation 5 Pro, but, you know, I guess we'll never know, okay? There's also a culture of toxic positivity, okay, vibe, where you could not say anything negative internally about the game, character designs, etc. No one was allowed to meaningfully change the course of the game. Well, I find this very funny. I find this very funny because I like how it suits well, Paul just writing an article here talking about the toxic positivity, which we saw in the other article as well. But these are the same people that write against other people that say that people are not allowed to talk, give feedback, right? Because the toxic positivity, okay, the people that worked internally were trying to say something about the game, but they weren't allowed to say something about the game, being shut down by who? Corporate office, okay? And yet people that the fans, if it had to do with Star Wars in another show or whatnot, we also spoke up about how we don't like this show because of bad writing or whatnot, but we're not allowed to do that because that's toxic instead of giving feedback. And yet it's amazing what happens when people are not allowed to give feedback on things. Things crash and burn. No one's allowed to talk about Acolyte. Acolyte crashes and burns. Time Bandits, no one's allowed to talk about that. Crashed and burned. The Crow, no one's allowed to talk bad about it. Crashes and burns, right? All the other animated movies that came out, crashed and burned. Video games come out, no one's allowed to talk about it. Redfall, crash and burns, right? So on and so forth. And here we are with just another game, another piece of entertainment that no one's allowed to say anything about. If it was internally or fans, not allowed to talk about it. Because you're review bombing if you say something, or if you say anything wrong, you're not allowed to give feedback. So it's okay that they're not allowed to give feedback, but when we're not allowed to give feedback because we're toxic, those things get canceled. But they tried to help this game out by saying, hey, look, we don't like these things internally into the game. They're like, you can't say that. That's toxic. Well, crash and burn. You deserve it. This is what the CEO of Sony Interactive, Herman Holtz, baby, who was also a massive champion of the game. Some of this still seems so strange. Budget aside, has given a AAA bloat these days. I can't believe that. But how do you look at a game in a laughable state in alpha 2 years ago, scramble to outsource work and finish it and still believe it's the future of PlayStation and the potential of Star Wars-like property? Star Wars comparison are always a tall order. We heard that, well, I'll tell you what, they actually did it. They actually did make the Star Wars IP. Because they made Star Wars of Disney Star Wars. They didn't make LucasArts Star Wars. They made Star Wars. Congratulations, Sony. You did it. You did make your Star Wars franchise-like property. The Acolyte, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka. Pick something. They're all in the can, just like this. Okay? So it says, about the goal of Bungie's Destiny's back in the day, but Destiny succeeded and was last for 10 years. Concord lasted 2 weeks. Okay, I guess this is the toxic positivity, which has also been confirmed in other sources, where also it's this sounds ridiculous. You can't say that, especially if this was a game cradled by the entire head of Sony Interactive. I argue putting this much faith in a game that is also bad is almost fully disqualified for that role. The head of Firewalk Studios has already stepped down, and it seems close to impossible for the team to survive. Either dissolves into other studios or shuts down entirely. This is arguably the biggest video game disaster in history by financial loss, and this also needs to be someone held responsible. Yeah, but that never happens, okay? That never happens. And then we have one more article, okay, for Concord, just so we cover our bases here, okay? Multiple sources dispute Concord's $400 million budget, okay? Concord only had 2 weeks to enjoy freedom before the Ultimate died and wasted Sony's lots of millions. Okay, how much? At first, the development costs were estimated around $50 to $200 million. And a couple of days ago, Colin, the owner of Last Stand Collection Gaming Podcast, shared that it was actually much more expensive. Colin also contracted a person who worked on Concord. They also cost about $400 million to make, which is crazy sum of money. Okay, so this is the same stuff that we've been already talking about. The Verge. This is The Verge. Tom Warren joined the skepticism. He says, I'm amazed, but also not amazed that the publication have run with the number. You only have to look at Problem Monsters funding to know it's nonsense. Okay? And I think what he's referring to with the Probably Monsters funding is known as nonsense is that there was $250 million split across 3 studios. Now, we don't know how they diverted that, if it was 50, 100, 50, if it was 25, 125, 25. You know what I mean? We don't know what that number was or how big the other projects were. We just know there's $250 million for 3 studios, and then Sony picked up the tab for the rest of it afterwards. All right? He says, of course, the business whom to believe, but Colin said that he had checked the source's background and found everything fine. Then again, it was just one person. So we should probably wait for someone else to come with the receipts. Money was not the only problem in the game's production. According to Colin, the dev culture, toxic positivity, there it is again, halted a negative feedback halted any negative feedback, so no one could say anything bad about it. You know, and that's just the way it works, right? If you don't want to get any criticism, well then there's literally huge departments in the film industry and whatnot that basically I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about this I think 2 weeks ago. When a television show or a movie is created and made, in the process they show it to people. They show it to people. Why? Because when you're in the project, you think your shit doesn't stink. You think you're making the greatest thing. No one's ever made anything like this before, and you're making the best thing. Well, when they show it to people, they get feedback. I know. It's crazy. They get feedback, and the feedback says, yeah, we don't like this. You need to stop this. And they spend tens of thousands of dollars, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they don't lose millions to tens of millions to hundreds of millions down the road, okay? So they show it to small audiences, get people to give their opinion, see what characters they like. They do study groups where they go, what character did you like? What character didn't you like? Who do you think's a good character? What do you think about the writing? What do you think about this? And they go, and they're like, okay, well, now we're going to put this show into prime time because these people said it was good and we believe it's good. And then they put it out there, and then shows last for fucking a decade. Friends, Seinfeld, whatever it is. All their shows last for like 1-2 seasons. They don't do that anymore. These up-and-comers in the industry think they know what's awesome before they test it out anymore, right? They barely do test groups anymore. These companies barely do any kind of alpha, beta tests anymore. They think that, nope, we want it to do just this. This is what it is. Don't care about any other's feedback except this. If they talk about the guns, cool. But if they talk about the guys, no. They're not allowed to talk about the guys. This is not up for debate. Okay? They spent so much money on this game, and in my opinion, they spent so much money on this game that they didn't want to hear anyone's opinions. Like, shut the fuck up about the people, the way they look, because we don't care. And yet, that's what they're like, look, gamers want attractive people. Okay? They're like, nope, that's not what SBI said. Have you read the articles? SBI says this is what's happening. And every game that's done it. Now, obviously, these guys just doubled, tripled down on the beautiful looking character models. Okay. And on top of that, they knew that it wasn't going to work. And this is why they put the $40 price tag on there. Okay. On top of the shitty looking game. Okay. And this is why they put the $40 price tag on there. Now, I've said the $40 price tag is one of the main reasons that they didn't make it, even though it's compounded with everything else that was wrong with the game. Uninspired, looked the same, character models looked boring, $40 price tag. Nothing distinguished this game different from all the other free-to-play games out there. But all of this doesn't surprise me one bit. Okay, I would love to be a fly on the wall to know what all these other games cost, because they don't really tell you, because they're successful, right? So we don't really know the cost of these games. We only know the FTC about Spider-Man and Last of Us because of the court. We know about this because of an inside leak that we really don't know if it's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was $200 million to $400 million. $200 million for a game like this is still ridiculous, okay? Well, these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? Did the game cost them, or Sony cost them, $400 million? And how? How did a looter, not a looter, but how did a hero shooter cost $400 million? Something's bloated. And I think you got to go back to the drawing board, not only for this game, but for every game that you're making in the future. Because if you're going to make these games this much money, okay, they're going to cost this much money, you're not going to make your money back. Again, these are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. All right, let me scroll back up where you guys are. Artemis says, this sounds like the worst video game flop in video game history. As of right now, yes. Yes, it is. Ramsey says, I think some of the info is true of the positive toxicity and Bungie stuff, but I think other stuff is false. Artemis sold 2.6 million copies. Back then, though, that was pretty freaking good. Like, how many consoles were out then at that time, you know, Artemis? Waterbear says 30. I don't believe in Spider-Man is well-known IP. I can believe at the price, but for Concord, where no way in hell it was 400 million. Well, I believe it was about 400 million, and I'm confused why. I'm confused why. Right? I want to know how much Anthem cost. Okay? I want to know how much Anthem cost. Crowded says the most hilarious part about this news is that the ponies are in complete denial about it. They refuse to believe in no matter what. Yeah, look, no matter what they believe, Crowded, that this game is the worst game in the history of video games. And that's a lot to say considering we saw just this past year King Kong and Gollum and Redfall. Like, Redfall is still operational. Redfall is still alive. Okay? James Thomas is easily 5 to 600 billion wash. Billion or million wash? Big Mo says, so we're going to talk about mismanagement now, right? Right? I talked about it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago about management, Mo. James Thomas says, we need Herman Holtz to do an apology tour. Sacred symbols, reset era, etc. And I'll cry for Herman getting fired. I'm just saying. Yeah, if you got to hold Phil Spencer feet to the fire about Redfall, then you got to hold Herman Holtz and what's the other guy's name? Takashi? No, not Takashi. What's his name? Hiroki Totoki, right? Is that his name? Ron Slusher says things could be worse. Would they? For Concord? At least they're not Palworld developers, Pocket Pair getting sued by Nintendo and about getting shut down. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a second. Don't jump ahead, Ron. Don't jump ahead. Sin says, I can't speak on the new Time Bandit show, but the movie back in the 80s is a cult classic now. It was great. It was a great movie. The new Time Bandits got canceled, so we talked about that on Thursday night. James says, couldn't we be getting an answer from Herman about such an abysmal release and loss of resources? No, they just stay quiet. Don't you see Astrobot? Don't you see the PlayStation Anniversary Edition costing $1,000? Right? These are all good things. We don't talk about those things. See, they're talking about negative positivity. They don't talk about stuff like that at Sony. They don't talk about the negative. They only talk about the positive stuff. Waterbear says, imagine working on something for 7-8 years, spending $400 million only for it to last 8 days. Yeah, it's crazy. Eclipse says they're just blaming it on Jim Ryan. You know, it was the savior before he left everyone in. Right? Well, he's not here to defend himself, so they just throw him underneath the bus now, Eclipse. Right, we don't even know what the marketing is on top of this. We don't even know what the marketing is on top of this. Go on, Drummond. Since switching gears for a second, that Penguin show is Boss. I don't have HBO Plus or Max, whatever the hell it's called. I'll have to wait. I'll probably watch it over the holidays because my mother-in-law, when we go down south, has it, so I might watch it then. Mokoki says, this was just a horrible call on Sony's part. They started freaking out with the early success of Game Pass and bought Bungie, Firewalk, and now they're seeing this the consequences. Yeah, look, I've said it in the past that PlayStation has to they have to start making changes, which they've done. In the last 4 years, 5 years, they started making games and putting it on PC. Okay, they got PlayStation Plus. They're putting more games on PlayStation Plus. right? They're moving to cloud stuff, right? They're doing all the things that they have to do, right? Because they know that they're the kings of this section right now, but they don't want to get left behind in this sector over here. Well, they're dipping their toes in both things, and they don't have the money to do it, okay? Where Microsoft says, we're not dipping our toes in both. We're going straight to cloud. We're going straight to subscription model, okay? And they got a lot more money to burn, okay? They got a lot more money to burn than Sony does. So Sony has to make these changes, and they have to make it work faster than Microsoft. Eclipse says, Pocket Pair is fine. Nintendo is just being a bully, and they're going to settle, so Pocket Pair has to change stuff. Well, we'll talk about that in a second, Eclipse. Artemis says, the game is $400 million cost. It does not include the purchase of the studio, which adds another $400 million if you can push the PlayStation games for a year. Is that true? Is that true? We don't. How much do they pay for Firewalk Studios? Plus, even the cost of the studio, you can't put that into the cost of the game because obviously they wanted to make more games and more things. They'll get the money out of it afterwards, right? So you can't put that towards just the price of the game. The studio is separate from the game. The game costs $400 million. Sure, Sony paid for the studio that made the game, but that doesn't go in the cost of the game. James says Nintendo must be stopped. What if they tried to patent performing all the 1-ups, extra lives, Nemesis system from WB? One thing Nintendo is claiming is crazy Fathom. Yeah, if they win this, it's going to be absolutely nuts. Right? Come on, Nate. Nate says, just beat Outlaws, I'm assuming. I have 91 hours, and I'm still doing stuff, upgrade all abilities. I have 30 other side missions still to finish. I'm probably not going to get where you are in the game because our thing's up, I think, like today or tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So we're not going to be putting all that time in. But I enjoyed the game for the single play. And we have like around 40 or 50 hours, I think, in the game. Krebsy says, quote, will Sony ever talk about the negative so they don't refund everyone who bought Concord? What do you mean by that, Krebsy? They're just sweeping it underneath the rug, right? Obviously, as a business, they should have gave everyone's money back because of their fuck up, okay? But what do you mean, will Sony ever talk about the negative? No. If they wanted to talk about the negative, they would have done it, but they didn't. They don't talk. And then they shove other things out in front of you. Here's Astrobot. Here's our PlayStation 5 Pro. Here's the PlayStation 5 Pro Anniversary Edition. You know what I mean? $400 million for a game. Wonder how much the average game costs to make. Well, look, I've said this in the past. Everyone makes fun of... and again, this is me not defending Microsoft in any way, shape, or form. But I brought a topic up before where I said people make fun of like Starfield and whatever else, okay? Where they get like a mid-80s score or whatnot. And I said, well, how much does it cost to get into the 90s? Okay? How much does it cost to get in the 90s? Does it cost, if you get Spider-Man, cost an additional, $115 million, right? Supposedly Starfield cost $200 million, okay? Spider-Man cost an additional $115 million to get that 90-plus rating on the thing, okay? Well, they're selling consoles, right? PlayStation's selling consoles to put that on there. Microsoft's not selling consoles, okay? They're selling software and streaming service, all right? Subscription model on their software and hardware, okay? So is it smart for Microsoft, and we'll get to their story in a second, they spend $1 billion a year, okay? Do they spend... let's say $100 million to get that mid-80 tier game that puts it out there and it's on a subscription model? Or do they spend the extra $200 million to make a $300 million game and also put it on their streaming service? It doesn't make sense, right? So do they put the quality, okay, and the money towards games like that on Xbox? Or do they make good quality games for the price that they're causing to put on Xbox Game Pass to make the better value for Game Pass? You see what I'm saying? right? You could compare and go, well, PlayStation makes better games. Sure. But they're also spending an additional $100 million on it. So is that a better turnaround? Right? Who's making more money in the long run? If they spend $300 million and they're selling 7 million copies, cool, right? But if they're spending $100 million less and they're charging $20 a month, okay, they're making out more than Sony is in the long run. Do you think Firewalk will be allowed to make another game? I don't think they'll allow to make another game until Concord, and I still believe this. I believe that Concord is being scrapped and redone again, and they'll call it something else, okay? And if that fails, like an Anthem did, right? Anthem 2.0, where they might work on it for a year and go, okay, we've decided what we're going to do with this. They might cancel it. At that point, I think they'll just push them into another development studio, okay? But if they go forward and it works out, well then, yes, I think Firewalk Studios will be able to make another game afterwards. Why are we spreading info like it's fact when it's not? What Sony paid for Firewalk? I don't know what they paid for it. I have no idea. I'm not saying it's fact. Are you? Crowded says, one of the reasons games are getting boring is patents like Nemesis system is bullshit. Well, yeah, once you make a patent system and then they don't use it again, like, for instance, the Nemesis system in what WB has, it would make games much better, open world games much better, but they own the rights and no one does anything with it. I think it ends in like 2032 or 2035 or something like that. Because like a patent like that lasts for like, I think if it's 18 or 20 years. James says PlayStation out here trying to hide a dead body under a welcome mat. They put the PlayStation 5 Pro on Concord's dead body. Krebsy says, here's my theory. $400 price comes to $250 million studio acquisition plus a $150 million budget. Well, I think the $150 million budget, well, first of all, we know it's $200 million before it was picked up by Sony. They spent $200 million before it was acquired by Sony. Okay? So that budget's already at $200 million. Where did they make the other $200 million from? I don't think it has anything to do with the acquisition of the studio. I don't think it has anything to do with the acquisition of the studio. I think it has everything to do with putting more money into it after the fact. Because you think about it, Sony didn't spend money on that game. That game was already being spent on. $200 million was before Sony got a hold of it. So now Sony put $200 million into it. So Concord itself might be cost $400 million, but it didn't cost Sony $400 million for the game. Maybe it cost them $400 million or whatever. We don't know the price of the actual acquisition of the company plus what did they put in the game. But Concord itself, what they invested into it and what someone else invested into it, Concord cost $400 million. Since there's no way Firewalk cost $400 million to acquire. No way. I'm guessing $100 million at the very most, probably not even that much. I don't know why you guys are even bringing up the cost of what it cost them to pay for it. That has nothing to do with the cost of the video game. Nothing. Nothing. That's the cost of the corporation, not the game itself. How much did Cyberpunk cost? Well, we do know that they made all their money back on day one, and they had 8 million pre-orders, right? 8 million. So let's say 8 million times 60. So they made all their money back. So it cost somewhere around $400 million because they made $480 million, right? They made all their money back. So it could have been 200 million. It could have been 300 million. No matter what, they made all their money back. That was just off the pre-orders. Then they obviously made more money because they made 5 million after the game came out broken buggy. Go on, Z. All right, talk to you later. Mo says, no, don't put $200 on it for it and then put another $200 on top of it. Wasn't funding when they started. Yeah, $200 million was already in the game before Sony picked it up, right? And then Sony added an additional $200 million, supposedly. And that's why a Concord cost $400 million. Raptor says, I'm saying that the $400 million the guy got told could have been acquisition price plus game budget, thus leading to the confusion. Yeah, but you're taking something. I mean, obviously, we're all just speculating here, but it was $200 million in Q1 of 2023. When did Firewalk Studio get picked up by Sony? Sony Interactive Entertainment since 2023. So $200 million was spent before they picked him up in April. That's fact. $200 million was spent quarter one of 2023, which is before Sony picked him up in April, right? So that's $200 million on Concord, and then whatever money Sony put in after the fact from 2023 April to launch day. Even if they cost $200 million to buy Firewalk Studios, you do not put that price into Concord, right? You do not put the cost of the company that you purchased towards the game price. That's not what that's not how it works, right? You would look at that cost across the lifespan of the studio. Okay, so if I did spend $200 million on a studio, okay, it wasn't just for Concord. It would be for the development, for all the staff, for all the stuff, for that year and forever in perpetuity, okay, of what they cost on it. So be like, yeah, 10 years from now, yeah, we picked up the studio for $200 million. We didn't pick up the studio for $200 million, and that's what we threw into Concord, and that's why they said they lost $400 million. Roic says, I really think they thought Concord would be the PlayStation 5 Pro, and this is why they revealed was like 20 minutes. They had to cut all of it out. PlayStation 4 Pro reveal. That's a good theory. That's a good theory. I mean, I would assume that they would push Concord on the PlayStation 5 Pro because they're doing the secret level thing. I'm assuming the system came out. It was something to push the system forward. But we don't know. You know, it sounds good, though. I mean, no matter who says whatever, Crowded, there's always going to be a coin flip of who thinks he's telling the truth, who he isn't, right? This is why we just read the story as what it is. I give you my thoughts and opinions on it, right? Everyone gives their thoughts and opinions on it. We actually don't know the truth. We'll never know the truth, okay? And even when the truth is told, everyone's like, well, that can't be. Someone's telling the lie, right? And that's just the way life is today, isn't it? Dustin says, well, Rocksteady's working on a new Batman game. Is that true? It's going to suck when they do it, if that is true, Dustin. You know why? Because the anticipation and what they think Rocksteady is going to do with the next Batman game to be better than the Batman games they did in the past, everyone's just chasing the inevitable letdown. Ron Slusher says, Suicide Squad's about to join Concord in the cemetery. Sure, but just remember, Suicide Squad lasted a lot longer than Concord. Concord, no matter which way you slice it, is the worst game in the history. This could last a long time. It could. But the year's not over yet. We could get something else. Argus says that would have been worse for them if they tied Concord to the PlayStation 5 Pro. No amount of performance would have made that game good. A good game. Literally no amount. If they would have looked at terrible showcase, that trash went. Yeah, but here's the thing, Argus. High risk, high reward. Let's take Helldivers 2, for instance. What about if Helldivers 2 didn't come out in February, but they came out during the PlayStation 5 Pro, and that blew up the way it was? You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows in business if it's going to be a hit or not. Everything's a gamble, right? So to say that that game, right, if they made it where the characters didn't look like shit, okay, well, then maybe it would have sold better. And if it sold better, well, then maybe it would have been part of the PlayStation 5 Pro, and then it would have pushed the sales. El Dente says, Suicide Squad Killer Justice League, 236 days. Concord, 12. That's right. No matter how you look at it, nobody can ever take Concord out of the lower common denominator there, right? Everything beats Concord, except if you compare Concord to the day before. And then the day before is lower than Concord by like 8 days. Yeah, it's interesting to see. So, there you go. There's Concord's information. Let's go to the next thing, which is E.T. beats Concord. No, E.T. was actually out longer than Concord as well. Yeah, E.T. was still out longer than Concord. And I think it sold more. Like, a lot more. I think someone put it in the chat earlier. 2.3 million copies sold of E.T. Yeah, not even close, Ron. Keep trying, though. Keep trying. Kylo says, I'm putting my sealed copy of Concord in a frame and making it a shrine in my house. Did you see the box of Concord physical copies they were selling, I think, at like Walmart or something, $1 in a box? Did you see that? Again, that game won't be worth anything unless a collector wants it. And the collector will pay because there's less copies of them out there. Company's saying, so they're saying that Colin is a Sony pony. Do you also think he couldn't misinterpret information he was told? Sure, I think everyone can misinterpret anything. Have you ever played the game called Telephone? Hell, there's people that can't even tell us from reading a fucking title in this chat out loud and give us the correct description. People take shit out of context all the time. This is why we're not calling it fact. This is why we're having a conversation based off the article. People believe the world is flat. People believe the world is round. People believe there's space. There's no space. People believe whatever the fuck you want. Okay, we're just having a conversation based off the article, right? I don't know if Colin's lying and full of shit. I don't know if Colin is misinterpreting something. I don't know if the person that's a source is actually real. I don't care. Ron says, I can't wait to tell my grandkids about the legend of Concord. Gather around, kids. Have you ever told you the story of my favorite game in the world, Concord? It lasted 12 days. Let me tell you, I booted it up. Little did I know, 11 days from now, it'll be canceled. Here's the thing, Crowded. I don't know if that's true. That's just one person's word over another. Again, I don't care. I'm just reporting on the news story that we read. Argus says Gollum, Skull Island, Rise of the Kingdom probably sold more than Concord. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100% did. 100% they did. Concord sold 25,000, maybe less than 25,000. They probably rounded up to 25,000 to make them feel better. They're like, oof. 21,642. Let's just say 25,000. 25,000 it is, right? I bet you 25,000 wasn't even the sales. I bet you that was 25,000 shipped. All right. Next story. Okay, next story. If you like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday, 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. We read stories. Listen carefully. We read stories, and then I give you my thoughts and opinions on the stories themselves. Okay? We have conversations on the stories. If you like this, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay? Here's how the experts think Nintendo will get its revenge on Palworld. Okay? So earlier this week, Nintendo and Pokemon Company, of which part owner, announced that they were also suing the maker of Palworld, the survival crafting MMO that blew up earlier this year in Steam and Xbox. The company's accused Pocket Pair Studio behind the overnight Pokemon with Guns sensation of patent infringement. While neither party has disclosed exactly what elements Palworld has excused, a copy of experts have started weighing in on the Pokemon mechanics that will also be the heart of the dispute. Now, the lawsuit seeks injunction against the infringement of compensation for damages on the grounds that Palworld, a game developer that released by defendant infringing multiple patent rights, and Nintendo announced on September 18th. Now, Pocket Pair responded the next day. At the moment, we're unaware of specific patents that we are accused of infringing upon and will have not been notified in such details, it wrote. This is truly unfortunate that it will also be forced to allocate a significant time of matters to unrelated the game development due to its lawsuit. Okay? It could be weeks before the exact allegations of patent infringement are outlined by Nintendo and subsequently filing, but it's also, in the meantime, new reporting analysts that also started to shed some light on what the company's main of the legal attack might be. And this is why they decided to go after Pocket Pair in the first place. While the early online controversies around Palworld, similar to Pokemon, I almost said Pokemon, meant to do the creature's design, the lawsuit in Nintendo has filed 8 months later in about what players actually do in the game. Okay? So it says, one of those things is throwing a spherical object, fantastical creatures, to capture them and store them inside. Now, Nintendo has a patent of versions of the mechanic and recently reported a game file. Okay, delving into the details, Polygon broke out the precise language of what the patent, which is also filed in 2021 and approved just last year, specifically covers. Okay? It says, in the first mode, aiming direction, virtual space determined based on the second operation input, and the player character's cause to launch in the aiming direction. And the item affects the field character deposed on the field, and virtual space based on the third operation input. The second mode is aiming direction determined based on the second operation input, and the player character's cause to launch in the aiming direction, fighting the character that fights based on the third operation input. Okay, as you see, it's not merely throw one thing and another thing to capture its inside, but specific sequences of events that based on the particular inputs. We still don't know if this is one of the actual patents involved in Nintendo's lawsuit or what court will decide if it is. The case was filed in Japan, but if it is, the timing could narrowly work out that Mario Maker favor, and why it was a patent so recent given that Pokemon was also been around for decades. Probably because it wasn't until 2022 Pokemon's Legends that gave the actual content players capturing Pokemon with Pokemon balls in 3D spaces like this. Japanese patent attorney recently told Yahoo Japan, according to translation, that Nintendo and Pokemon Company filed subsequent divisional patents based on the above one earlier this year and asked to receive it to be accelerated. This was approval, one of them coming out last month. okay, suggesting that this may have been part of the strategy to button up the patent language behind pursuing legal action against Pocket Pair infringement. This isn't the first time Nintendo has gone around Japanese video game company patent infringement. Back in 2017, it went after mobile studio, Japanese smartphone game, White Cat Projects, for alleged patent violations related to special technology used to operate the joystick over touch panel. The two-sided eventually reached in a settlement, with paying Nintendo roughly $20 million. Industry analysts who leads the consultant point out the example to interview in the week of 404 Media. So, first of all, the lawsuit is filed under Japanese law, so this has nothing to do with the U.S., nothing to do with the UK or EU law at all, he said. And second point is that they think that Nintendo took its time to really build the case, map out everything out, and include counter arguments that also other side might bring up in the lawsuit, and how the counter are also absolutely sure that they think that they will win before filing this lawsuit. So, somewhat dire picture, Pocket Pair likely chance of prevailing against Nintendo, given the track record suggests that the timing of the lawsuit might be connected to Tokyo Game Show. I was going to bring that up, but I'm glad they brought it up. Pocket Pair was expected to announce the PlayStation 5 version of Palworld there months after partnering. The Sony is also a joint venture expanding the IP merchandise, and Sony also decided to comment on the law so far. So you can bet your life that Nintendo hates the company and they couldn't find an angle on the character's design, Toto said. So this is what they mentioned in their press release. So they come with the technical particularities, okay, and added that they think the goal is hurt Pocket Pair financially. It is unclear exactly how much the game has made so far, but it's had already reached 19 million players shortly after coming in, including those with the Game Pass and part of the deal with Microsoft. Well, we know that they sold 12 million copies at what, $30 a piece? And we do know there was an article that was written that said they made like $63 million or something like that. Right? Isn't that what they said? Or yeah, was it 63 million or 630 million? Something. Well, they came out and said, we have so much money, we don't know what to do with it. And they were a little scared, right? So it's interesting to find out, Nintendo, okay, if they win on this game mechanic patent, this is worse off for the rest of the gaming industry. It's just like the Nemesis system that happened in other games that were patented in the past, like mechanics. Because if someone can patent this, then someone can patent like the way a gun in first-person shooters are and how it reloads or something along those lines. And then the Pandora's box kind of like opens up, in my opinion. Okay. Now, I do think its timing is weird, especially in the article. It says that they've sped up the process of this patent. When this game came out in February, they patented this back just last year when they've had the thing quite some time. And they didn't say anything. They could have said something right when the company came out. And I said this when Pocket Pair launched Palworld. I said, if they sue them, they'll wait because they want to see how much or how successful they are. Because how do you sue somebody if they have nothing to give you? But if they're successful, then they can get their money. Nintendo's very smart. Nintendo's not dumb, okay? They've been around since the early 80s, actually way before that, okay? But as a video game company, they've been around since the early 80s. They are the grandfathers of video game. They know what they're doing. And I don't think they would have went into this lawsuit to lose. I think they have their I's dotted, they crossed their T's, right? They got their periods at the end. They know exactly what they're doing. And I think this is a scummy move on their part, right? Businesses are going to be businesses. Businesses, like I say all the time, don't give two shits about you as a consumer. They definitely don't give two shits about the competitors out there because they're taking money out of their pocket, okay? Pocket Pair is definitely taking money out of Nintendo's pocket, especially since they made a better product. Nintendo made a shitty product with the last Pokemon games coming out. They were just bad, okay? I don't know if you want me to talk about this toxic positivity here, okay? But Nintendo made a shitty product, and they usually don't make shitty products. They make really good products, okay? So when they make a shitty product and someone makes a better product than them, they're fucking mad, okay? In my opinion, they're pissed off, and they're trying to get revenge on this company, Pocket Pair and Palworld. And the timing, don't make it distinct. They said it in the article. It's about Tokyo Game Show. They know that they can hold them up and they can't do anything now. So now they're not going to show anything at Tokyo Game Show. They're not going to make an announcement with PlayStation. They're not going to make their money with the PlayStation with the stuffed animals and toy line that they were going to make with it. That's all on the back burner now. And it might not ever come out because of what's happening right now with Nintendo and Pocket Pair with Palworld. What do you guys think? Do you think Nintendo's overstepping? Do you think they're being a little, being a little bunch of bitches? Or do you think, hey, they have every right to do this if the patent, again, this is not U.S. law or U.K. law or EU law, this is Japanese law, and they're filing it in Japan. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Pocket Pair. Look, I like the game. We played it. We have a playlist. You can go watch me play it. I played about 30 or 40 hours of it. I enjoyed it. And I never played a Pokemon game before. So this is my first introduction to a game like this, because when Pokemon came out, I was already in my mid-20s and whatnot. I just never got into it. Okay? So now I tried it. I thought it was good. I had fun with the survival. I like the game more because of more of a survival game with the Pokemon elements and whatnot. But look, I hope that Pocket Pair doesn't get destroyed. You know, if they settle, they got to give a couple $1 million or whatnot. But I hope it doesn't destroy the company, because they made so much money. They're set, right? They're set, and they can make their next game. And this game's not even out yet, by the way. This is still in early access, Palworld is. So hopefully the game gets actually full released because of this. So hopefully this doesn't destroy the company and the game itself. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think of Nintendo? Are they overstepping? Are they all right to do this? What do you think is going to happen to Pocket Pair? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Eclipse says, I just hope Palworld is allowed to finish. I hope it doesn't hurt them too much. Yeah, I really, look, I like the game. They made a better game. Okay? And it almost looks like a mob move, okay, Eclipse? You know what I mean? Like, let's say they have a laundromat across the way, and then a laundromat opens up next door. Well, they don't like the laundromat taking their business, so they wipe them out, burn down the building type of thing. That's what this seems like to me, okay? It seems petty. It seems like they've had no competition in the Pokemon realm. And if you notice, they're not suing for the infringement of the way the characters look, because they know they don't have a case, because Pokemon stole it from Dragon Quest. Okay? So they know they don't have a case there, and this is why they're doing patent infringement, and they're not saying anything yet. And I don't think they're going to announce it, because now that they've said it, they're not going to announce it until after Tokyo Game Show. That way, they can't do anything with their game at the Tokyo Game Show. James says, I don't know why people always forget Pokemon Coliseum on GameCube. James says, first open world Pokemon game. How come they didn't patent it then? You know what I mean, James? How come they didn't patent it 20 years ago? You see what I'm saying? First, hold on. Krebsy says, Nintendo has a 100% success rate for lawsuit they start. Yeah, it doesn't look good for them. It doesn't look good for them. Sarge says, Nintendo patent system. Patenting a game mechanic does not benefit the industry. It's a control maneuver, controlling a smaller dev team, making a better game than them. Yeah, it looks bad. It looks bad in their eyes. But do you think most people even care or know about this type of stuff, Sarge? Most people that play Nintendo games don't follow this shit. They don't even know that Nintendo's suing anybody. They're like, Nintendo's perfect. They don't do anything wrong. Kyle says, if they win, expect other companies to do the same thing. There's also be more innovation in games anymore. Right. Right now, people are probably putting patents in for, like, gun mechanics or driving mechanics, right? It's like, if you turn a steering wheel and turn it to the thing, this operates the thing. It's like, what? You shouldn't be able to patent anything like this. You shouldn't be able to patent game mechanics. You want to patent a game? Right? So no one can make a game like that, but the game mechanics itself, no. Eclipse says they're just being bullies. They're trying to make it where you can't make the game merchandise at all. Right. They want to completely destroy them, I believe. Brainchild says, usually, I like how Nintendo conducts itself. This is not one of those times. They're big whiny, and also does Pokemon even release on Xbox? That's also true, Brain. Maybe they made a deal, though. Right? Maybe behind the scenes, Xbox before, they said, well, we don't have a Pokemon, and they made a deal with Palworld to put on Game Pass. But then after the fact, maybe Nintendo is like, well, yeah, the next one, we're going to make it. We're going to put it on Xbox. You know what I mean? Who knows? Krebsy says, Nintendo is 100% trying to strong-arm Pocket Pair into the arbitration, because if it goes to the court, Nintendo is going to have a lot of upset people on their hands, mainly devs and those informed like us. Look, I This right here, what they're doing to Pocket Pair, and I have no loyalty to Pocket Pair. I paid $30 for their game, and that's it. I'm just a fan of their game. But what Nintendo's doing, in my eyes, if they announce a Nintendo Switch, I ain't buying it. I didn't buy Borderlands 3 because Gearbox was strong-arming content creators. Okay? I ain't definitely not buying a Nintendo. I don't care if Ultimate Alliance 4 is on there or not. I will not purchase the Nintendo box until they fucking solve this issue and are not bullies. I don't have to buy a Nintendo. My son will be like, I want a new Nintendo Switch. I'm like, sorry. Go mow some lawns and buy it with your own money because it's not coming out of my pocket. There's one thing I don't do, Water, and those are lies. I'm a person that sticks by my morals and integrity. I will not buy, and if they go through with this, okay, I will not buy a Nintendo Switch, whatever the new Nintendo console is, 1,000%. Because if Nintendo wins this, it's worse for the gaming industry. Eclipse says, I'm pretty sure Nintendo sued someone when they were a card company, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, probably. Probably. The Godfather is on the move. Ebony says the gaming industry doesn't want the Pandora's box to be opened. Yeah, definitely not. Oh, says this is Japanese court, right? Will this only affect Japan? Say if Nintendo wins, Japan do us in the U.S. have abide by the yeah. It's in their courts, not ours, right? But if this happens in their system, okay, and they get away with this by patenting a mechanic in a game, then the rest of the world opens up and goes, wait a minute. Who's to say I can't move my corporation somewhere and then file a lawsuit where it's not underneath the U.S. lawsuit? Companies do that all the time. Sarge says, of course they don't care. They don't understand the industry. All people care about is their own personal entertainment, regardless of the risk of individuals or in titles, which is just sad. Alvente says, they don't want competition because it means that they're going to have to innovate and formulate. And they haven't touched it in years now. Very true. Very true. The clip says, oh yeah, I'm definitely not buying it if it makes the Pocket Pair go under. I'm done. Yeah, I'm not just saying that, Eclipse. I truly believe that. I will not purchase their product if this goes through. Waterbear says, Ultimate Alliance 4 gets announced at launch title. I could care less. Pocket Pair, have a share, feel a stare. I'm buying it. Congratulations. Right? I'm not going to think you're a worse person, Water, because you want to purchase something you want. Me personally, I will not fund them. Love Nintendo. Love Nintendo since I was young. Loved all the games I played and all the memories I made, but I will not support a company that bullies people. There's plenty of place out there, space I should say, where they make money and they make money, right? When a company comes in to try to snuff out the other group because they're making money, sorry. Oh, I would definitely not buy it on release, but I wouldn't buy it 4 years after, 5 years later. Don't care. Eclipse says, emulation, cough, cough. That's true, right? That's true. Don't have to buy their stuff. Yeah. Crowded says, if 19 million people get their game ripped away from them, they can make a stink about it, at least. I would hope. You would hope. You would hope. But I'll tell you what, Crowded, don't be sad, because it's not going to happen. 19 million people wouldn't bat an eye. They'll be like, it was an early access anyway. They could have shut down anyway. Krebsy says, this is what Nintendo is doing. Imagine what Activision, EA, Ubisoft, etc. would do. COD just did Omni movement. Imagine they patent character movement. Right, Krebsy. And if that happens, like, it destroys the industry. It destroys the industry. Because there's no innovation. There's no innovation. They cripple innovation. Okay? Look at what EA has done with football games. There's no competition for football games. There is no competition for any sort of stuff that they do. Okay? And that's not even a mechanic. That's buying rights to something that nobody else can make. Okay? You could make a football game, but who would buy a football game, okay, that nobody knows, right? I have Legend, I can't even think of it now. Legend Football Legend. What the hell was that called? Oh my God, the 8-bit one, right? Okay, it was Legend something. Okay, I like it because the gameplay is great, but there's no real teams in there, right? So if you're a person that likes the NFL, you're not going to buy it because you want your team. You want to play your team with your characters. Bo says, what's going to come out of this is that they will catch pals with triangles and squares instead of round balls. Well, could you imagine? We know this is going to happen, Mo. If it goes through, like, all right, you have to change. You can't throw balls at them. They're like, okay, we'll throw eggs. We'll throw eggs at them, right? You'll be playing the game and going, why are we throwing hexagons at them? Why is that? Legend Bowl. Thank you, Eclipse. Right? Why are we throwing... Right. And then what'll happen is someone else will be like, you can't use hexagons because those look like engrams from Destiny, right? Be like, for fuck's sake, is there a shape we can use, people? Is there a shape we can use? Well, you can't use rectangles because rectangles are this. Well, this is it. We've decided what we're throwing at the characters. We're throwing sticks, but not sticks. They're just lines. There's no sharp edges. It's just a line, just a pole. But it's not called a pole. It's just called a line. It's 2 points, and you just chuck it at the thing. You're like, why am I throwing lines at these animals? Right, then you have to have like some sort of backpack to suck them in instead. Because now you're not throwing balls. You gotta get close to them like a Ghostbuster backpack, and then Ghostbusters sues them for these are too like where Mario. No, Nintendo would sue them again. They put a backpack on where they suck them in. They're like, you're copying Luigi's backpack from Haunted Mansion. Sorry, Luigi's Mansion. We're suing you for copyright infringement. There, you're like, Jesus Christ. Is there something that Nintendo doesn't patent and own? You're not allowed to put animals in an open world space that look cute. Kylo says, if Nintendo wins this, they may be worst thing that can happen to consumers. We all suffer in the future. Right. And if they win this and then they come out with a new system and people just buy the system, they don't give a shit. They're just like, yep. Not only did we win our lawsuit, but yep, everyone's coming to play the next Pokemon game on Nintendo Switch too. Can the Ghostbusters sue Luigi's Mansion because of the backpack? No, because one shoots lightning and one just sucks. It's a vacuum. One's just a vacuum. The other one is a proton pack that shoots electricity that holds them in place, and then the trap that goes underneath them is what sucks them in. Okay? Come on, Kylo. Know your Ghostbuster stuff, all right? Two different things. Jason says Firewalk should patent their character designs. Yes. You know what? I agree, Jason. That way nobody else can make shitty characters like that. That's right. That's brilliant. That's right. Firewalk should patent the shitty character designs they made. That way nobody can make them. Krabsy says, speculation. I think the lawsuit is on 3-ding system that happens when catching pals being similar to Pokemon 3-ding system. I don't think you could patent a sphere or a ball mechanic. So you think the actual, like, the movement of it, like it shakes 2 times or 3 times or whatever it is? I like how it says, can I patent the act of Nintendo patenting? You just draw on a napkin. This is Nintendo. You draw like Nintendo. You put an arrow. This is Nintendo. And then in the next napkin drawing, you're like, them making patent. So now you own the rights of Nintendo making a patent of a patent. Good work. Good work. What's going on, Dolphin? What's going on, Worlds? I think Nintendo has started doing things like this because of Sony. They have a rough history, and Sony has created a product multiple times that are almost identical to Nintendo's. Still stupid, though. What do you mean by that, Worlds? Are you saying, like, because they made the Switch, they made the Portal, and they keep competing? I mean, they're not suing Sony, though. You're saying Nintendo's like this because of Sony? Because of the competition of Sony? Can you elaborate what you're trying to say here? Has Nintendo had a rough history? I think they're pretty rock solid since the 80s. They made so much money they could do whatever they want. The system itself, Rumble, Wii Remote, Switch. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So you're saying the reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying the reason Nintendo's like this is because of Sony being in competition with them, even though they say they're not in competition with them. But I get what you're saying, that every time Nintendo does something, Sony kind of makes the same type of peripheral or console or whatnot. So Nintendo, over the years, has become very protective of their stuff. Is that what you're saying? I'm saying they see other profit off the ideas, so they're trying to protect their ideas. Got it. Okay. But here's the problem with the idea thing, right? It's a mechanic in a game, right? Like, they didn't steal the game. Obviously, they stole Pokemon from Dragon Quest, and now Palworld has stole Pokemon from Nintendo, even though they could say they stole it from Dragon Quest. You know what I mean? Like that could be it, right? Nintendo's not clean here. As Crowded says, Nintendo steals ideas, right? Companies steal ideas all the time. Microsoft stole from Apple, right? That's why we have Windows, right? This is why corporations and look, you could have a best friend, okay? If money comes into anyone's life, those people change. Companies don't give a shit about people's feelings or who they're hurting or who they're stealing from. They just care about the money. Okay? They just care about the money. World says, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm playing a role. Why they're being like this. Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm not saying you're saying it's right. What I'm saying is, I'm more worried about if this goes through, that they can patent a mechanic like WB with the Nemesis system. And the Nemesis system is out there and no one can use it. And all open world games, or all games in general, are worse off for it because they can't use something someone patented of a game mechanic. Okay? So if Palworld loses to them because of this game mechanic, this is yet another thing that nobody else can make. So that means that nobody else can make a game like a Pokemon or a Palworld now, because Nintendo is gatekeeping or holding down this mechanic for this. So they could just do the minimal viable product of Pokemon, which they've shown, the last Pokemon, okay, where they can make a shit product and they'll take that money because they don't want any competition, which looks shitty. Crowd says what Nintendo does is worse. They steal the idea and then put a patent on it. Right, right. I'm more of a problem of not them suing Palworld. I have a problem with them patenting a mechanic in the game. If you're trying to stop other people from making a game like yours, like can they patent a thing like Smash Brothers, where all of a sudden multiverses can't make a game, or no other game like that can be made because they own the mechanic of having multiple people on a thing and switching in and having a brawl? You know what I mean? I mean, it sounds stupid right now, I'm saying that out loud, but what's the difference? Hey, what's the difference? I think the difference with that, Krebsy, is that there's so much of a difference, right? In Zelda, you're only playing the one character, and they know Genshin Impact's business model is it's an open world, but you're paying for waifus, you know what I mean? You're paying for the hot girls and whatnot and the characters. So it's a completely different mechanic in that game. Sure, you're in an open world type of environment. That's why they don't touch Genshin Impact. Dolphin says, yeah, the industry would be boring if there's no game that could also use the aspect of the other games. Right. Again, I bring up Madden. They didn't patent a mechanic, but what they did was they drowned it out everybody else, where they bought the rights to the NFL, and nobody else can make an NFL game. So everybody else is like, well, what's the point of making a fucking football game? Okay? Because the people that like football want to play their team. They want to play their players on their favorite team. So if you have a no-named football game, right? If you have a no-name football game, like Legend Bowl, great game, by the way, okay? But the sales are not going to be huge because there's nobody looks at that and says, well, you know, what's the new game coming out? There's another football game coming out. I know Eclipse is interested in it, okay? Right? Gridiron or something like that's coming out. I forget what it's called, okay? There's another football game coming out. It looks great. It looks like Madden, but it's generic teams, right? Sure, it'll sell a couple thousand copies, tens of thousands of copies, but it's not selling anywhere near Madden because Madden's got a lockdown on that. Innovation's completely done. Maximum football, that's what it is, right? Yeah, let's look this up real fast. Right? Look at Maximum Football, right? Looks great. Right? Looks fantastic, right? Maximum Football. But who are the team? It's not college. And it's not pros. So you're looking at this going, holy shit, this looks fantastic. This looks amazing, right? And people that like football might buy this, but you're definitely not going to be getting millions and millions and millions of copies to compete against Madden. Oh boy, I can't wait to play the Stingers. That's my favorite imaginary football team. Right, look, this actually looks better than Madden. Okay? But you can't play the actual football game. Like, you can't actually play, like, actual NFL football. Exhibition, college football dynasty, practice, player customization system, and maximum pro league, right? You know what I mean? There's nothing. I would like to play that to see if it's good, because if it's actually good, I'll give it a try. You know what I mean? Chato says, I say we cover some real gaming stuff, news, but Skyrim grandma retiring, real headline stuff. I mean, do we need to talk about that? Do we need to talk about that? Is she retiring because she can't play video games anymore, or is she retiring from her job? Or is she retiring from playing Skyrim? Can you retire from playing a game? Just stop playing it, don't you? Axis football? Let me check that out. Is that another yeah, just another generic football game, right? And it looks great. But I don't have an attachment to anything, because who am I rooting for? And I think this is great. I think these guys should be able to make a game with the actual NFL brand. Because then Madden would have to get better, right? Madden would have to get better. Oh boy, Seattle whatever versus the Dallas Longhorns. You can't say Longhorns, right? Because is that an Orlando team? Orlando Rockets? Oh, I'm in. I'm in. My point is, a lot of these things, when you cripple, what I hate is that Warner Brothers has the Nemesis system, right? They've done nothing with it for 10 years. Nothing with it for 10 years. We have another 10 or 11 years to go before somebody can use it. And the reason they put this patent in is that they're like, well, we're not going to make a game with the Nemesis system. Maybe Wonder Woman uses it, right? Maybe. Okay, which is still, what, 10, 11 years, 12 years after they patent the system? So someone else could purchase the system. They're like, well, we'll sell it to people. And everyone's like, fuck you, we're not buying that. We'll just make our games just the way we are. We don't need your Nemesis system in our open world games. What's going on, Altern? Pepsi says she's bored of playing Skyrim. Well, hasn't she been playing for like 12 years? She was like 70 when she started. Yeah, that's awesome. Let me tell you something. I hope the gaming industry is still here when I'm 80 years old, where I can still play video games. I'll just be like this, though. And the chip in my brain will be playing video games. But man, I can't wait for it. I'll be excited. You'll see me like this. That's it. That's what it'll look like when I'm 88 years old. She's retiring. She can't play on the fridge. Has she done everything in the game? I would hope so. Right, the patent is out for greed, not for the players. Exactly right. I wouldn't be surprised, Krebsy. Imagine someone right now is patenting AI in gaming. Probably. All right. We got another story. We got another story. Make sure you guys, if you like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to around noon Eastern. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you'd like to go above and beyond that. You can become a member as little as $5. I've been working on my website. So you guys can go to 30andstillgaming.live. It has everything there for you. You can watch the live stream from there. Okay, there's my. You can also become a member there if you click on that. And you can click on all the other things. You want to go to our gameplay. Instead of going to 30 and Still Gaming on YouTube, you go straight here and click on the video that you want. All the gameplay, Let's Plays, and stuff that we've done so far with all these games that are up there already are up there to watch. You can also go to our, Generation X Gaming, chatting with, the Daily Grind. Everything's here for you. So we do appreciate you if you like our content. We're trying to make it a little bit more easier for people that even if you're not on YouTube and you're on a podcast, listening to this on a podcast, if it's iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm, I do appreciate you coming out and listening to these on whatever platforms you're on. So 30andstillgaming.live. It's been there for years. I've never really done anything with it. So I've organized it all. I've put all the stuff in there I can, put it in one location. And you can actually listen and watch live and talk in chat from the website as well, as long as you're not using Opera GX. Okay. Opera GX is still working, but apparently I have it blocked in the background. So here, actually, let me bring up something real fast so I can see if it's working. Let's see if it's working. I don't want to say it should be working. It should work. YouTube refuses to connect. Why? That's weird. Refuses to connect. I'm going to have to look at that in the background. Can Nintendo patent this? I'm sure they could. They would describe it as hand gesture with 4 fingers down, middle finger up with the thumb out. Is it this or this? How do you guys flick people off? Is it this or this? I'm not flicking you guys off. I'm just asking how you flick people off. Is it with the thumb or without the thumb? All right, let's go with Microsoft spends $1 billion a year to bring third-party titles to Game Pass. I mean, that's 5 Concords. No, I'm sorry, that's 2.5 Concords. That's 2.5 Concords. 2.5 Concords. That's a lot of Concords. Okay. In the monumental report covering the state of play of Microsoft and Xbox, Bloomberg dove into its impact on Game Pass subscription services. It's not everybody on a cup of tea, but it's garnered a mixed response from developers over the year. But staggering statistics of Bloomberg write-up reveals that how investment Microsoft is in the platform. It was said that the Titan spends $1 billion annually to pull third-party games onto Game Pass, often parting ways with millions of dollars just to put the pen to paper and get the deal signed. Okay, so the promise to exposure. Okay, it says written by Bloomberg, Dinah Bass. Okay, it says everything from the recent clash between Microsoft and CMA, potential of handheld Xbox device was explored. I'm sorry. Okay, at this point, the conversation, which focused majorly a Sarah Bond Xbox president, turned to Xbox Game Pass. In retrospect, it also a glimpse into how the subscription service surfaced with a humble library at a low price point before coming into a massive effort into weighed heavily into Microsoft's offers. It says it was a shift into Microsoft standing up, and also could see value trickling in over time rather than relying on the one supersized launch to rack in the substantial payday. This is what Sarah Bond alluded to in touching the alteration in the opening of the operating model. Okay, there's a difference between managing a network effective and maximizing the value of a single game. Bloomberg then mentioned that the Microsoft spends a whopping $1 billion a year bringing a third-party games into Game Pass ecosystem, which has been modeled recently as the Play Anywhere system and transcended simple home consoles. Now, Game Pass has also a major adjustment for publishers. They sweetened the deal with Microsoft, now spends $1 billion a year getting third-party games on the subscription service. Okay. It's also been more than enough to win over small publishers to whom they offer flat fees of millions of dollars upfront, including their titles, along with a portion of subscription revenue and a promise of exposure that they didn't count on getting otherwise. So there you go. So they're talking about a little peek behind the door, all right, that they give a flat fee of millions of dollars upfront to include their titles, along with a portion of subscription revenue, which I said years ago, I said I would assume that they do this, right? It was an assumption then, and now it seems like it's factual now, okay? I said that they would also look at, so if a game came out the first month, they probably get the money up front, and then when the game launches on the Xbox that month, they probably get a percentage of the revenue of, okay, someone downloaded Game Pass this month, they played our game, so they get a percentage of that, right? That's what I figured, and now it seems like that's what it is, okay? Now, owing to inflation, Game Pass has recently increased the price of games that also take pole position in the library chop and change. But there's also no doubting that the power is a subscription-based product. The notion is to set the improve to next month. The first Call of Duty game will grace its service in form of Black Ops 6. It's already incorporated titles from Ubisoft Connect and EA Play services, making it a seriously stacked offering for gamers worldwide and getting better all the time. Okay. Sarah Bond has the rest of the crew of Xbox have immense faith in the product, which also seeming desire to move away from the console gaming. It's only a matter of time before seamlessly connected Game Pass experiences in firm of foremost focus. Okay, so I've said this in the past, and I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. Okay, now that they have, I think it was 38 studios, 38 studios, right? If it takes 3 to 5 years for 38 studios, so 38, let's say divided by, let's say 4. Right? It's 9.5. So let's just say 5. So let's say 38 studios divided by 5. That's 7.6 games a year they could potentially come out with once they start breaking into that cycle, right? So let's say it takes 3 years to make a game. Okay? So 38 divided by 3 is 12.6. So let's just say all 38 studios started working at the exact same time. They started the first 4 studios or 5 studios started 3 years ago, okay? Then the second group started just 1 year after them, and they started working on their game. And then 5 other studios started working 2 years after that, and so on and so forth. Once that first group comes out, and they get that games into the system, so now Xbox comes out, their first-party titles, they throw them on the system. That's 4 games for the year, right? Even though it says 12 because it's 38. In 3. If it takes 3 to 5 years to make a game, it takes 3 years to make the game, but then takes 2 more years to fix it. Once they get that 3-year cycle in, okay, which they've owned Bethesda now for, 3 years? They've owned Activision for, 8-9 months? Okay, but once they get in that cycle, Xbox is going to dominate how they keep releasing content. Now, when I say dominate, I'm not talking about making the best 90-plus games, okay, rated score games. What I'm saying is they're going to dominate because they have so many studios in-house that are making games that once they get that first wave out, then the next year, so they can have potential anywhere between 4 and 12 games if it's small studios or bigger AAA games or whatever it is, and they can constantly keep feeding it because as soon as that first group is done releasing their game, they can start working on the next quadrant of games, which is 3 years or 4 years down the line, okay? So on and so forth. Here's a little model that happened with Sea of Thieves. When Sea of Thieves first launched Sea of Thieves, it was just a lump sum of Sea of Thieves, and then they broke up their team into 4 groups, or I think it was 3 or 4 groups. And then they were all working on content, and they had content they were working on where they could work on it for 3 to 5 months. Okay? So I'm trying to show you like a smaller scale. The first DLC that came out was okay. I forget what it was called. It was like Deep Seas or something like that, where the sharks came into the game. And then the next DLC that came out the following month was something more. And then the one after that had more time to work on, so it was a better DLC. And then so on and so forth, right? And then they slowed that down because it was one studio with a bunch of teams. Now, this is one gigantic company with 30 studios, 38 studios, whatever the hell it is. So they have plenty of studios making video games. So now, you're competing against a studio where they have 8 to 12 compared to 38, 3 times as many. And on top of that, they have a game service where they're charging $20 a month. So now they have 38 games at some point down the line in that life cycle of a console or the life cycle of the next gen whatever system. They will have all like first-party title games, 38 studios working on some sort of type of first-party game over the life cycle of the game, which if they did that over the life cycle, okay, 38 studios divided by 7, that's still 5 titles a year that are first-party across the generation of the console. So the more it happens, the more product, the higher the value is for Game Pass for them. And that's on top of what they're putting money towards for the $1 billion a year for smaller titles, bigger titles, for titles that have been out for like 6 to 8 months, and then they throw them onto Game Pass afterwards. So as a business model, we've read about this in the past about small studios early on made a lot of money, but not so much now because now it's hard to get people to see their stuff within the business model. And the more years that pass, the more years that they make studios making their first-party titles and start throwing them on Game Pass, it's going to be harder for companies to get seen. But now there's the other side of the business model where pay for $1 billion worth of studios to come in. So let's just say by next year, Hogwarts Legacy will be out for 2 years. But now they put Hogwarts Legacy onto Game Pass, right? Or they take a game like a Space Marines 2, maybe 1 year after the fact, and they throw that on Game Pass. Same with the next, whatever it is, right? And they just start throwing stuff on Game Pass. Even though there's people that have never played those games, they look at it and go, oh, well, I can go buy it for $20 or $30, or I can pay $20 a month, and I get all of these games. That value becomes more and more. So in the long run, Game Pass is setting themselves up to be very profitable and very successful, and they're not losing money by making consoles, by making systems. Now, are they going to go out of their way to not make systems? I don't think so. I think they're still going to make systems, but this number is just going to get more. They're going to spend more on Game Pass. Right now, it's $1 billion, okay? But if they start making more money, they can go to 1.5, $2 billion, right? They could throw that money at other companies and be like, yeah, we'll throw you on there, because the video game industry is getting more and more cutthroat. Where if you have a game, Hi-Fi Rush doesn't make good enough money, okay? What was another game that came out? Oh, wait, Concord came out, didn't make money. But if you could take these games and go, it doesn't really matter if we sell 1 million or 2 million copies. If we throw it on a subscription model, it's going to make that money back faster because that's just thrown in to make more value for that subscription model. PlayStation is going to do the exact same thing. There's a game that's coming out recently, the Plucky Squire, I believe, is on PlayStation Plus day one, right? They've paid money to get the Plucky Squire on that market. This is another game like Astrobot, which is for younger kids that PlayStation is trying to attract, okay? Obviously, adults play Astrobot, adults play Plucky Squire, but they're trying to market more to younger kids, hence why Foam Stars is there and whatnot. They're trying to attract those kids, right? So this is the way the business is going. When it's a $1 billion and everyone's saying that Microsoft is struggling, they're spending $1 billion to get games on their platform, which they make $400 million a month on, okay? So this is money well spent on Microsoft's part, and just moving forward, again, this is me not fanboying over them. This is just looking at the business aspect of it, okay? They're making money hand over fist with this system because they're putting more games on the platform. And as you going to Blockbuster back in the day, there was tons of games, and what did you pay? Like $3, $7 to rent them for a couple of days. Now you're spending $20 a month to rent them for as long as you want, as long as you just keep paying the $20. There's no difference between this and paying a subscription model for playing one game of World of Warcraft. You stop paying for World of Warcraft, you don't get to play the game anymore. You stop playing for Game Pass, you stop being able to play the game. Difference is, I don't want to pay the subscription anymore. I can buy the game. So now they're making an additional $20, $30, $40 off of me, plus the DLCs that they put out for all their games. It's a winning business model. Microsoft is doing very smart. This is why Microsoft is a $1 trillion company and not a $1 billion company anymore, because of all the software that they've sold in the past. Now they're doing the same exact thing with video games in the video game landscape. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. What do you think about Microsoft paying $1 billion to put games on their Game Pass? Do you see this being money well spent? Do you think that they're going to raise this price up like myself? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Kylo says, anyone needs a gaming monitor, LG's got one for 170, 27-inch, 1440p, 144 hertz refresh. Ooh. Send me a link on that, Kylo, in Discord if you can. Krebsy says that number is going to go down because eventually third parties won't be needed. I don't think it'll go down. I think they'll spend the exact same amount of money, but just less games coming to Game Pass, if that makes sense, Krebsy. Right? So I don't think that number goes down. I still think they spend the exact same amount of money. They just get bigger profile games to bring onto Game Pass. I don't think that number ever goes down. That number will go up. But if it does stay the same, they'll spend the exact same amount of money. They'll allocate that much money to bring bigger titles into Game Pass. Remember the FTC when we saw they were going to spend $250 million on Suicide Squad? Remember that? They dodged a bullet there, didn't they? Now, when Suicide Squad comes out into Game Pass, because it will, they'll probably give them like, here's $500,000. Thanks. Ron says, Game Pass is slowly taking over. Software sales show no matter how critically acclaimed a game is, not enough people will buy it. That's right. Across the board. Across the board. Right? Obviously, Xbox doesn't care if you buy it or if you don't buy it. Okay? They're giving options. You want to buy the game? Buy the game. If you want to buy the game after you have Game Pass and try it out, then buy the game afterwards, right? Just paying $20 of that game, they give you a discount on that game automatically having Game Pass. That's 2.5 months, Dolphin. Obviously, they don't make a 100 billion profit in 2.5 months. But what I'm saying is, if you just add up Game Pass, they're making about 400 to 450 million, okay, for a month, right? For Game Pass. Because we know that more people are buying Ultimate than they buy the rest, right? So now, 2 months go by, they have 800 million. And then the third month goes by, they have 1.2 billion, okay? And they're only spending 3 months worth of stuff on Game Pass for the year. So think about that. 3 months of Game Pass, 3 months of Game Pass pays for the 1 year of what they're buying to put on Game Pass. That's good business. That's good business. Right? And I know people are looking at it going, well, Sony still makes better products. Cool. Right? But for what they're spending and putting onto Game Pass, what they pay for these games to come onto Game Pass, or what they spend for their own games to put on Game Pass, it doesn't cost them 250, 300, 400 million. They're spending billion on multiple things for the year. How many games have come onto Game Pass this year that are third party? Mo says you can get a year of Game Pass Ultimate for 120. Just saying. Ron Slusher says, I would like to see an indie Game Pass by Microsoft. Indie game only Game Pass at a reduced price. I don't think they would do that. And here's why, Ron. They know there's a group of people that want to play indie games. So I think they would put that in the upper tier. If not just the 15 point tier to 20 point tier. Because you got to make the upper tier be the most valuable, the most value. So if people wanted indie games, they would throw that, and they see an interest in it, they would throw it into the 15 to 20 range. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, Dolphin, because Starfield was the most they've ever had for people getting a subscription model for Starfield. I would love to see what happens with COD. Dolphin also says, my buddy just bought 2 years of Game Pass before the price went up. A lot of people did. Right. And Starfield was a new IP. Right. Crowd says, Mike, did you see the video of someone made showing the weird oversized heads in Dragon Age Veilguard? I can't unsee it anymore. No, I didn't. I didn't see that. Maybe we'll watch that tomorrow. I just came across this article. What the hell? This can't be real, is it? This is real? Okay. I'm just gonna read the title. Maybe we'll read the article, but this has nothing to really do with gaming. But not that it matters on my show. But it says family told to change son's Skywalker's name or seek Disney's permission. What? They named their kid Skywalker. But now, okay, wait a minute. It says London, a family was told to change their son's name or receive permission from Disney after a passport application was rejected. According to the New York Post, a British military family's 7-year-old son was denied a passport because of his middle name. It's his middle fucking name. It says, quote, "We were not aware of this and this could be a potential issue. The boy's father told Suffolk News that they understand that Loki's middle... his first name's Loki. His middle name is copyrighted, and he's made an intention of using it for personal gain." The Post reported that Kristen Mabral's son was born on May 4th, 2017, which is known as Star Wars Day. In homage to his hit franchise, the boy's parents decided to name him Loki Skywalker. Okay. The Post reports that the family has no problems with the son's name for the first time in 7 years of his life, and they changed it when Marlboro's family began making plans to visit Dominican Republic in October, per the publication. When speaking to Suffolk News, the family said they would have been on their first vacation since 2014 because of the busy work schedule. According to the Post, serves as Royal Engineers. Stop it. Stop it. You can't use Skywalker's name because if you make like a product, right? You're allowed to have Skywalker as your name. Fucking Ray took it, right? The joke, right? It's a name of a young boy's middle name. That should have nothing to do with Disney's TOS or anything like that as far as what's going on. Like, what are we talking about? If he grows up and says, hey, this is my movie from Skywalker Films, yes, now that's a problem because, one, you can't do that because that's related to the same industry or whatever. But if his kid's name is Skywalker, there should be no issues for a fucking passport. What is happening in the world? What is happening in this world? What is happening? Krebsy says the Disney Plus TOS says you can't name yourself Skywalker. He didn't name himself Skywalker. His parents named him Skywalker. And they probably named him before they paid for Disney Plus. I'm just saying. So ridiculous. The boy's name, his middle name, by the way, his first name's Loki. First name's Loki. That's not copyrighted? Marvel's not coming after him? Disney's not coming out for his first name? What, is he not a mystical being from Asgard? Yeah. Water, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, we crossed into the multiverse of madness a few years ago. Like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Dolphin says, I have someone for you to interview. Great. Put it in Discord. There's a section in Discord that says podcast guests. Throw it in there. Snowbike Mike from Kinda Funny. I'll put an email out to him. So actually, I could tell you who we're interviewing this week. Let me bring up his channel because he said he's doing it this Wednesday, so it's official. Now, my podcast is not all about gamers. You know what I mean? So who we are talking to this Wednesday, and I like him because I'm a fan of his content, and I'm interested in talking to him because he has a lot of knowledge in the business of entertainment. Okay, so who we're interviewing this Wednesday is Paul Chato. Call me Chato. Okay, he got back to me, and if you guys have never seen Paul Chato's content on YouTube, okay, he used to be a TV executive. Okay, he used to be a TV executive up in Canada. Okay, he's a comedy writer. He's a sketch writer. He has his own YouTube channel. He's got 125,000 subscribers. He's really funny. I like his content because it's much different than a lot of other people do on it. So he'll be on the show on Wednesday. So we're going to ask him a bunch of questions. If you guys have questions for Paul Chato, okay, if you watch him, or like I said, he's a comedy writer. He's a used to be a TV executive, worked in the film industry as far as talent and whatnot. So we're gonna talk to him this Wednesday. So make sure you stop in. Make sure you hit that like button, the subscribe button, and stuff like that. So I have a bunch of people I've reached out to. Some got back to me. Some are up in the air because they don't really know. They're like, "Who am I?" Right? And I would like to interview tons and tons. I don't care what side they come from. I don't care if it's just straight up gamer, or if it's a person that's a fucking accountant. I don't care. I want to talk about people's channels, where they come from, how they built their channel, and because I like to learn things all the time, and hopefully it shares someone out there that's watching goes, well, I want to make a YouTube channel. I would like to do stuff like that and hear other people's stories as well. So tune in Wednesday for Call Me Chato on Chatting With on Wednesday night. Waterbear says you also can't use the name Skywalker, apparently. That's right. Dolphin says, I just watched the Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 video that the guy is fucking legend. Salty said, they did it with a child who died. They asked Marvel to put an image of Spider-Man on the gravestone, and they denied the request. They're fucking heartless little assholes, Salty. If my son, God forbid something happened to my son, and he wants fucking Mickey Mouse on his gravestone, I will carve it in, because that's what he wants. If Disney can go suck my you-know-what. Right? Did I watch him on channel? I don't know if I watched his stuff on channel. Maybe I did, Water. I don't remember. I watch him off stream myself. I don't think I've ever commented about him on stream. Dolphin says, I've never heard of him, but I've never heard of any of your guests, but I like them now. Yeah, but Kingert, we found Kingert, Greg Owens, right? Jay Shockblast, Miller, right? We've had a Ginger Prime, had a lot of guests on here. I'm trying to reach out. Look, I don't want just all males, by the way. I've reached out, but no one gets back to us. They're very scared to reach out to us, reach back to us. They think we're fake, or we're not big enough maybe for them. I don't know. All I want to do is have a good conversation. Gravity says, articles are coming out on the rumor Rocksteady is working on a Batman game. Kicker is supposedly Sony is helping them fund and could be making it exclusive. Look, here's the one thing that I said earlier, because Dustin said something earlier. If Rocksteady is working on another Batman game, they better make sure that game is the greatest Batman game they've ever created up to this point. Because one, we know that Rocksteady is not the same Rocksteady that made the other Batman games. Okay. Two, if they make a Batman game and it's nowhere near the other Batman games because it's not the same team that made the other Batman games, then it's gonna be pretty fucking laughable, because they're gonna suffer worse than what Gotham Knights did and worse than what Suicide Squad did. So they better hope they get it good, right? They better hope they get it rock solid. No pun intended. Rock steady solid. Oh, I do, Dolphin. I sent them a link to the playlist and whatnot. You should get Paul on the show. Paul who? Paul Tassi? He won't do it. I wouldn't reach out to him anyway. About to pass. Here's a funny part about, if that's who you're talking about, Water. I won't name the channel. Okay? But one of the channels was reacting to, actually there's multiple people reacting that are not in this space of gaming, right? But they're talking about the Star Wars Theory Paul Tassi story type of stuff, right? And I find it funny because one of them said that Paul is just trying to make a name for himself on YouTube. And I went, do they know that Paul has almost 100,000 subscriber channel already on YouTube, right? Paul didn't know if he wanted to start a YouTube channel. And me and Lono, when he was back on the show 4 years ago, he said, I don't think I should do it. I said, if you went live and started a YouTube channel, you would have 30,000 people instantaneously. Okay. And he goes, you think so? Like he was not sure of himself when he did it. And we said, yeah, absolutely. Right. And then everything else fell apart and whatnot. And he has a YouTube channel. He's almost 100,000 subscribers. Okay. So for these content creators that are outside the space, and they only know Paul Tassi as Paul Tassi, the article writer, okay, that he already has a channel, okay? Now, one of them did say something, which I thought was interesting, because they said that maybe he sees the writing on the wall, and he is trying to move away from Forbes and make a name for himself, and I can look at that and go, maybe he doesn't see the writing on the wall for Forbes, but he sees the writing on the wall for his channel, because his channel is 90% about Destiny. Well, Destiny is not really going to be expanding much in the future. So is Paul starting to dabble into drama and stuff like that to kind of fill in the gap? You know what I mean? I don't know. But he's writing a lot more stuff about shit talking about YouTubers than he is about actual content that he used to do. Yeah, Rocksteady is not the same. Rocksteady is not the same talent that they had before. So people putting this out there like, yes, Rocksteady's going back to Batman. It's like, okay. Okay. Oh, I get it, Krebsy, right? As a content creator growing a channel with, like, we do all bunch of stuff. The reason Paul's channel grew so much is because he talks about Destiny. He talks about other stuff as well, obviously. But Destiny is what grew his channel, okay, for the last 4 years on YouTube. Okay? Anyone's channel that talks about one content piece of thing grows dramatically because that's the people keep coming back. My channel never grows because I never talk about one topic. When I did, my channel exploded, right? I had 300 subscribers, and I was getting 15,000, 18,000 views on my Gotham Knights stuff when I first started this channel, right? This new channel, okay? But then I refused to do what YouTube wants me to do. But yeah, if Paul's making that switch where I just think it's funny. You can't throw stones at a glass house when you're doing the exact same thing, right? If he's writing articles about YouTubers talking shit about content, okay? Like, if Theory is talking about Star Wars and doesn't like Star Wars and he's talking shit, that's his opinions. And then if Paul's talking about Theory about not liking the stuff, those are his opinions, right? So if his opinions are okay, but his opinions aren't, like anything public, this stream right now, someone can comment and disagree with me and they could use this and do whatever they want with it, right? Because it's the public. I put it out there. It's public. So if someone wants to scrutinize me for my content, for what I do, it's there, right? For me to attack somebody, though, to try to get them to, I don't know, talk shit about them, that's another thing, right? You could give your opinions and thoughts on their articles, just like someone writes articles on their thoughts about a show, right? What's the difference, right? Journalists, like Paul, like other people, watch a show, play a game, give their thoughts and opinions. Other people read their stories and they give their thoughts and opinions. It's the exact same fucking thing. Well, I said that last week, Krebsy. I said that last week. I would have reached out. I said, why are people airing their laundry out in public? I know why Theory's doing it, okay? I don't know why Paul's doing it, okay? Theory's never done stuff like that before. He stays on his side until he gets pushed. But Paul's starting to pick a fight, which just looks kind of weird because not only has he done that with that, he puts himself out there against Elon Musk. He puts himself out there for Dr. Disrespect. He puts himself out there for other things that have happened in the past with other creators. And I think it's a little weird because just report. Just report. Right? You don't get to criticize people, and then when other people criticize a thing that you don't like, you get upset about it. Stupid. Stupid. But I have no place to talk. I only have a 2,400 person channel, so. Because that's what everyone will say. Who's this guy? What does he know? Right? He has nobody. No one watches him. That's what they would say. That would be the first comeback, okay, that someone would say against me. Dolphin says he gave me a good laugh, but honestly, he's making himself look stupid. Who? Which side, Dolphin? Here's the thing, though, right? If you comment on another YouTuber, that YouTuber's allowed to comment back at you for your comments. That's not attacking, right? If you instigate it and you comment and you make it attacking that person's character or something, they have every right to come back and defend themselves. That's how that works, right? Eclipse says, I just found out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game is coming out to everything. I thought it was only going to be a time exclusive on the Switch. That's awesome. Which, you're talking about the roguelike one? Is it coming out everywhere? Son of a bitch, and I bought it for the Switch. That's all right. It was worth it. Screenshotting and tweeting everything is childish. But I don't know who you're talking about, Dolphin. Are you talking about both of them? Are you talking about one or the other? Because I know Theory is screenshotting stuff, but he's talking about stuff that were trying to demonetize his channel. Jason says it's classic, instigate and then play victim. Right. Right. So, for instance, I'm talking about the situation, right? Now, if either of those people came back to me because I said something that they didn't agree with, and they came back about my content, that'd be fair game, right? Because I'm bringing it up and talking about it on my channel. I can't be like, like, do you know what I mean? Salty says, Paul comes across the voice for modern audience that doesn't exist. I just think it's funny. I haven't seen, though you guys brought it up earlier. Perhaps he said, Asmongold made a 1 hour and 20-minute video covering the Tassie versus Star Wars Theory stuff. I've seen the Star Wars Theory video, but I haven't seen the Asmongold talking about the Star Wars Theory video. Hey man, everyone is out here doing the exact same thing. If we're all trying to make a living, we're all trying to make money, we're all trying to make content. Okay? Some people make content about ripping on people. Some people make content on actual news stuff. Some people make content by reacting to people's things. Some people make it from live videos. Some people make it from upload videos, right? Reading articles, right? We're all trying to make stuff. We're all trying to be relevant. We're all trying to make money. We're all trying to entertain. Okay? So I find it funny when other people call other people out for doing the exact same thing they're doing. Some people have morals and integrity. Other people don't. Okay? Some people talk about content and stuff like that. Okay? And other people like to make drama. Okay? But you can't write something about somebody that's not true and then expect not to get smacked back and then be like, oh, well, his audience they're so big. Like, he broadly stroked and said that Star Wars Theory's audience is attacking him. No, you attacked him, and now the white blood cells, as I always talk about, right? The white blood cells, your audience, whatever that is, right? My audience is very minute, right? Right? Now, if I had 3 million subscribers, my white blood cell count would be much bigger to protect the disease that comes in to try to, fuck with your audience, right? So, obviously, I'm not responsible for what you guys say and happen to be part of my audience, right? That's you on you. You take credibility for your own things, okay? People that say, don't attack the people, don't say anything to these people, no matter what you say, they're still going to go do it, right? I tell my kid, don't do that, and what does he do? He does it anyway. Right? It's stupid. The first trailer for Thunderbolts just released. I'll watch it off stream. Krebsy says, I don't know how to word this. X creators shouldn't be blamed for their audience going after someone unless that X person enticed them by saying something like, this person doesn't need harm. Right. But that's just it. Everyone, perfect timing, right? Every time someone gets blamed for something, it's stupid. You can't. How is it that they can say more people like the Acolyte and then it got canceled if the number was greater than less than, right? It's very simple. If Acolyte's on this side, right, and hated on this side, and the Acolyte is greater than or less than that other side, then that's why it didn't make it. You see what I'm saying? Like, there was less people that liked it than liked it. It didn't make money, hence the company canceled it. But yet, one person says that the reason they canceled it is because of people like him, which is just insane. Because if he's the minority, which he's not, the masses or the majority didn't like the stuff. And the majority didn't like it. Hence why the Acolyte failed. Oh yeah, Eclipse, that's a different one. That's the other animated one that looks like the last movie that came out, the art style and stuff like that. I think it's named the exact same as the movie. Mutants of Mayhem or something like that. Yeah, it's a separate game, but it's a continuation of after the fact of the movie, right? Mutants of Mayhem, I think it's called, or something like that. Same art style. It looks interesting as a game. We'll see when it comes out. Look, I like the content that I'm making, right? I like the content that I'm making. I feel like I'm hitting a stride of live content, which is different than what Lono does. We both do the same, right? Lono makes live content. We've both been doing the same for years. I've been doing the exact same format, just off and on differently, okay? He does debates. I just do conversations, right? Both are conversations, but he likes to hunker down on one topic. We go all over the place with all different topics, right? It's hard to do what we're doing, right? Because the rest of YouTube, they do live streams, right? They play games, right? Or they might do a live podcast, okay? But with a group of people, right? Not many people do a live podcast like Loner and myself where it's like a radio show type of thing, okay? It's the new thing that people are doing. More people are doing it, but it's hard to do this. It's easy to make content where you're talking about one topic and upload it, right? That's easy stuff, right? It's hard to do the live environment. I love doing the live environment. I love chatting back and forth with chat. I love having these conversations back and forth. Keeps you entertained. It's like coming to someone's house, like I say in the beginning, right? if you just came over like, hey, what's up? What you been doing? Oh, not much. I've been playing games. Oh, you've been playing, right? It's just like this back and forth banter. But the only difference is I have a voice. You guys have to type. I feel like if I can get more guests and do like what we're doing on Wednesday, I would be okay if I stopped playing games in the evening and just did interviews. I would be okay with that. Because I could still upload videos and put games up on my playlist. We've been averaging a lot more people. Like right now we have 38 concurrent. What it says? Yeah. And then we peaked at like 50 something, which is nice, especially for someone my size. And I appreciate everyone that comes out and hangs out. If you're here, that the average person that watches my content, okay, the average, what would you guess, minute-wise, how many people watch my live streams compared to the average time of a person that watches a video? If I make an 8-minute to 10-minute long video, what do you think the average person watches that 8 to 10-minute video at in time? You'd be very surprised. Dolphin says 60%. Pepsi says 15 to 30 seconds. Majority of the population drops off, right? 40, I think it's like 40%. You have to have a video in the 75 to 70 range percent still after the first 30 seconds to have a video go viral. Okay. I have around 40 to 30%. So we get a 60% drop after the first 30 seconds. And then now the crew that watches, how long do they last for? Right? Dolphin says 6 minutes. Here, let me go to one of my videos. We'll do a pretty positive one here, right? Like a higher viewed one. Let's see. Engagement. Okay. So this video I made, for the PlayStation VR 2, close to support to close. Okay, has little less than 1,000 people watch it. Okay, it's a 5-minute long video. Okay, the average viewer duration, okay, is 2 minutes and 15 seconds. People watched it for less. Majority watched it for less than 1 minute and 6 seconds, less than usual. Okay. If I go to another video that had, let's see, good topic one. Let me find one that had a. Yeah, this one had 4,000 people watch it. The average duration, 3 minutes of a 12-minute video. 3 minutes. Do you know how many people watch and stay with my live stream? Right? The last live stream we did, not the Friday one for the test stream, but the average person watches my stuff for 39 minutes. For 2 hours. Which I guess if no, it's not the same percentage. Because if it's 10 minutes and they only watch 2 minutes. 10? Well, actually, that might be. 12 minutes? No, it's more. It's more, because it would be like 24 minutes. So they're watching over double the time with the longer format live format than I do with upload stuff. And the audio format is longer than that, right? It's closer to an hour, which is crazy. So people like listening to the audio more than they do like on audio formats for the podcast. What else we got here? We got the Shire. Maybe I'll talk about this tomorrow. I just saw it. Tales of the Shire could have been a wonderful slice of Hobbit life, but instead, its demo is a perfect example of how to waste a fantastic opportunity. We'll talk about that tomorrow, I think. I wish it was 60%, Dolphin. I wish it was 60%. Joan says, I have a guest idea. All right, what is it? What's the guest idea? I was thinking about doing a like Q&A with chat like on a Friday or something. Like just do it all Q&A type of questions and whatnot. We do that here. Like people can put in questions, and I do a pretty good job at reading. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, Eclipse. Yeah, I prefer that someone just has me in the background, just listens as we play. You know, as you're doing work, as you play video games or whatever, right? I walk around listening to podcasts pretty much all day. I'll just put it in my pocket, have it in my ear, and just walk around, do stuff. We've been doing a couple of Friday shows, Dolphin. We've been doing a couple dabble in a couple of Friday shows. I'm not sure what I want to do for Friday. I don't know if I want to make Friday where I do entertainment news on Fridays, same time slot that we do in the mornings here from 10 to 12. For entertainment. I don't know if we do Q&A. I don't know if we do... I don't know. I'm the same, Salty. I'm constantly listening and learning something from somebody. If it's information from audiobooks, if it's podcasts, if it's whatever. And I'm also trying to think because, and I was going to ask you guys this because you're my audience, okay? What do you think of, like, for instance, chatting with, right? The first time I interviewed somebody, like Kingard was on the show back-to-back, right? And the second interview that we had with Kingard wasn't really the format of chatting with. It was just talking to Kingard again about basically like what we do on GXG, right? But talking about whatever, okay? If I have a character, if I have a guest come back, okay, like Greg Owen wants to come back on the show, do I do that on chatting with again? Or do I have a separate show that's not categorized as chatting with again? You know what I mean? And I was thinking about using my Nerding with 30 name, even though it's a different channel, as another segment, just as they come back, Nerding with 30. Because I don't want to bring them on to GXG. GXG, in the very beginning, used to have guests on. But the dynamic and whatnot was just not there. Me and Sarge do GXG. We are going to have Kingard, and we are going to have Greg Owen on GXG when we do the Video Game Awards show later this year. But for the rest of the time, if same people come back, I don't know what we should do with that. Oh, no, we used to do guests all the time. I had... I forget what number it was. We had a guest on GXG, and I'll call him out, over 9,000. Destiny streamer. He came on the show, and he had a bad day, let's just say. He came on the show and he was plastered. And ever since then, I stopped having guests because I didn't want to deal with stuff like that. So now I'm very, very screening process-wise of who I invite on the show. At least on GXG. King on VGA? Who's that? Oh, is it Vanguard? Is that his name? No, it's not Vanguard. It's over 9,000 what his name was. Yeah. Just drunk? I'm ready to do a show. I mean, if you're ready to embarrass yourself. There was other things that happened. That's why he was drunk, but I don't want to air that dirty laundry. Yeah. So I was very respectful to him, but I wish he was respectful to me. He apologized afterwards, by the way. It should be the audio version. Should be on Spotify. The video version's not up anymore. The audio version, though, should be there. This is back in 2016, 2017. Yeah, we used to have guests on all the time. We could do that, shooting the shit. State of plays tomorrow? Did they announce that? State of plays tomorrow? Yep, there you go. PlayStation State of Play announced for September 24th. There you go. Well, perfect. What time is that at? Do we know a time? $6 p.m. Eastern. So I guess we'll talk about it Wednesday then. We'll talk about it Wednesday. Or the night stream at 8 p.m. Yeah, but we usually play games then. I mean, we could bring up topics and talk about whatever they have, but it won't be structured in any way, shape, or form. Remasters and more remasters, Jason says. 20 games in 30 minutes. PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2. Is that what they're saying? 20 games? So 15 of those games are going to be remasters, remakes, working on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Joke, by the way. Well, yeah, chatting with is just still chatting with me, but I don't know. I feel like when doing the podcast on a separate thing, Eclipse, if we're not talking about YouTube anymore and we're just bullshitting, I don't know if it's should be underneath that podcast. Maybe I don't name it at all. Maybe they just bring him back on the show and just talk. Buddha Papa says, hey and bye. I'm at school. Okay. See, here's a perfect example. When a company is excited about copies sold, they'll scream from the hilltops, right? So Frostpunk 2 has sold 350,000 copies sold. Right? The company's come out and said, we've sold this many. right? And they're using that as a marketing material of going, look, there's 350,000 people bought this game. Maybe you like it too, right? When companies don't talk about their sales, that's when you know there's a problem. I'm just going through Twitter right now just to see if there's I like the poster for Thunderbolts and the new Black Widow. Florence Pugh. She looks about as exciting as I would when this is my actual face that when someone announces something for Marvel movies now, and I'm like, okay. I'm not excited in any way, shape, or form. You guys excited for this movie? I'm not. It could be awesome, but I'm just not excited for it. Now, I haven't watched the trailer yet. Maybe the trailer will get me excited, but her face is exactly what my face is right now. New World. Aeternum launches updates. Look at this real fast, since you guys are interested in New World. Okay, join the New World Aeternum team. It'll launch update feature, new endgame features. The video covers a history of New World, everything you need to know about the Aeternum curse, mist of PvP zones, hive, gorgons. Okay, is this it? What is this, 5 minutes? Let's watch this.
Our vision for an open world game with classless action combat combined with deep and varied RPG systems in a mass... When New World launched in 2021, we could have never anticipated the incredible response it received. Millions of players logged in and for the first time found themselves on the shores of the mysterious island of Aeternum. They experienced our vision for an open world game with classless action combat combined with deep and varied RPG systems in a massive shared world.
We've evolved New World over time with dozens of content updates. New massive zones like Brimstone Sands in the Elysian Wilds. New weapons like the Blunderbuss, Greatsword, and Flail.
I like using the Blunderbuss.
We've added seasons.
I liked using that too. What was that called?
In the Elysian Wilds. New weapons like the Blunderbuss, Greatsword, and Flail.
The flail. I liked using the flail. The flail was cool.
We've added seasons which bring regular updates with endgame challenges and new quests.
New World today is a very different game than New World in 2021, and some of the biggest additions and updates to the game are set to arrive with the release of New World Aeternum on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Wait a minute, it's not on the PlayStation 5 Pro? I'm kidding. Of course it is.
This October. New World Aeternum is the definitive New World experience. It's all of the content added to the game since launch, plus a number of exciting features and updates for both new and current players. For the campaign, we've created a bigger, better, more cinematic experience that can be completed solo or cooperatively. The storytelling has evolved with new cinematics, new quests, and refined progression and leveling systems. Players can interact with NPCs with a new and enhanced dialogue system, and everything has been optimized with full controller support.
It felt good. It felt good on the controller support. It felt very good, and it felt very smooth when I was playing it.
There's also a new player experience to help introduce players to the world of Aeternum. It's beautiful, mysterious, and acts as a great introduction to the deep lore and mechanics of the game. For New World veterans, we have some really awesome endgame experiences planned for you as well.
A major addition coming to New World Aeternum is what we're calling the Cursed Mists. Cutlass Keys has been transformed into a larger and more...
When does this come out? This comes out in October, right? October 15th. And Shattered Space comes out this week, September 30th. Or next week, September 30th. I think... I'm thinking maybe we play Shattered Space for a couple of days. And then maybe 2 weeks. And then we jump into this. I'm thinking about getting this.
more treacherous open world PvP PvE zone.
When players enter the mist,
Wait a minute. So this is a PvE zone?
Cutlass Keys has been transformed into a larger and more treacherous open world PvP PvE zone.
when players enter the mist,
So can I flag in, or do I have to be in PvP?
they're immediately flagged for
Oh,
PvP.
immediately
All
flagged.
bets are off in this area. It's a total free-for-all. No grouping, just every...
Oh, no grouping. So, but wait. But if I go in there with my group, and then we're all hands on deck, or every man for themselves, we could just have a gentleman's agreement and be like, yeah, let's not attack each other. Let's team up on people because we all want the same stuff.
every adventurer for themselves. This free-for-all zone is also heavily populated with new enemies, special resources, and valuable treasures in cursed chests.
You'll have to survive against not only other players, but also powerful enemies to earn cursed doubloons.
This, I'll be honest, this doesn't sound very good, this section, but I know people love the PvP type of stuff.
A special currency that can be exchanged for rewards at the Well of Fortune. The gear that you get at the Well of Fortune is some of the best endgame gear in Aeternum. But with the highest rewards in the game come the highest risks. You'll have to tread lightly. If you die in the Cursed Mist, you drop some of your cursed items, which of course can be looted by other players for their own gain.
One of the most exciting new features coming to New World Aeternum is our first ever 10-player raid, the Hive of Gorgons.
10-player raids. This is another thing. It's a little bit. You have to have 10 people, and how long does this take? You know what I mean? Obviously, it's endgame. So, endgame is for the. I probably won't ever do the 10-player raid myself.
After defeating Medusa in New Olympus, players will learn of a new threat. The Gorgons have risen, and they're raising an army of the Hircine. To stop them, you'll have to assemble a team of powerful players, enter the Hive, and negotiate a gauntlet of challenging puzzles and epic boss battles.
The raid has some of the best boss battles yet in New World. They're massive, imposing, and each require a unique strategy to take down. In the Hive of Gorgons, there's danger at every turn, with deadly traps to navigate and seemingly impossible mazes to solve.
But the rewards are well worth the effort. Max level gear for all playstyles, armor sets, melee weapons, and artifacts for only the best warriors in Aeternum. The Hive of Gorgons also features a soundtrack unlike...
So wait a minute, you can only get that in the raid? Not gonna be selling it in the store, a differential, little different model of it that looks just as cool?
anything we've ever done before. We had the amazing opportunity to collaborate with an indie composer from Switzerland named Joel Schosch. It transports you straight into the heart of the raid, creating a powerful contrast with its visuals. We can't wait for you to experience it.
There are many new mechanics, bosses, and enemies that are unique to the Hive of the Gorgons, and there are incredible rewards to earn. We're looking forward to players discovering all the secrets of the raid.
Whether you're a new player or a seasoned veteran, New World Aeternum is stacked with amazing new adventures. Gear scores being increased to 725, and we're introducing new daily...
What was the total level before this event? Was it 600?
soul trials, which are challenging single-player boss fights for powerful gear.
Matchmaking will be featured across all game modes, making it easier than ever to connect with friends and new players. We'll also continue to run seasonal events post-launch. To our community, a big thank you.
To our existing players, thank you for holding off the corrupted invasions and building a great community.
To our new players, we want to welcome you to Aeternum.
There is a beautiful world awaiting you.
This is the first chapter of a new era for us, and we can't wait to share everything we've been working on with you this October.
We'll see you in Aeternum.
Okay. I don't know about the PvP, PvE zone. Every man for themselves type of thing. I know, but my question was, Eclipse, what was the old gear score? Was it the 600? PlayStation 5 Pro and 10 games appearing at the Tokyo Game Show. Roic says, I never played New World because of PvP. Well, you in New World, Roic, you don't have to play PvP. In that one section, you would. But you can flag or not flag for PvP. You never have to play PvP in that game if you don't want to. You think we see Marathon tomorrow? Maybe a cinematic trailer, Krebsy? I don't see we see gameplay. I'm trying to look up 625. The game suffers from bloat. We have near useless 625 named items. They raise it up 100. So it goes from 625 to 725. Yeah, you never have to play. In the old New World, you never had to play. Now, in this game, the new Aeternum, there's going to be a section that if you grow into that section, it will automatically be PvP. It automatically flags you into PvP. But that's endgame stuff. So if you never want to play any kind of PvP against anything, and you don't want to play with anybody else, you just want to play solo, you can play it through the entire game up to endgame without ever touching PvP. Even in endgame, you don't have to touch PvP, but you'll miss out on the resources and whatnot in that area. Lego Star Wars sets are 20% off. You never really see that happen. 20% off. Stealth, I'll send you the link because I know you buy stuff all the time. Let me I don't even know if Stealth is here, but we're going to send it to him. That's what I do. I look out for my community. Stealth loves Legos, Star Wars Legos. Cards Against Humanity is suing Elon Musk for $15 million. Well, we gotta throw that in. I don't even know. I gotta throw that into the submitted stories. We'll read that later. You've piqued my interest. Why? What is happening? Why is it... I'm copying and pasting into Discord, and it won't let me copy and paste this thing. GameSpot article. No, that's not what I'm looking at. Thank you. There we go. Oh. Look, is that the one that you're talking about? From Warrior 64, the LG 27-inch? $170? Is that the one you were talking about earlier? I was thinking about getting this one, but I don't have any... I have no money for this thing at this time. I was thinking about getting this guy. Because the way I have my setup right now, I have two 27 inches right in front of me. And I would love this, but this is $1,000 right now. And that's down from $1,800. That's 50% off almost. Or it is 50% off. Well, no. 15. Well, yeah, almost. Almost. My wife would absolutely kill me. What else we got here? Last week's Nintendo Switch 2 leaks is almost certainly real, says the tech experts. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, it comes out for console on the 15th. Yeah. Yeah. Akuda Papa has 3 of those things. Now, he's got 6. He's probably got 2 stacked on top of each other surrounding him. Yeah. I have an Alienware 34-inch monitor. You can catch it on sale for $700 at Best Buy. Alienware 34-inch. Let me see. Alienware 34-inch. Let me see. Is it curved? Yeah, but see, this is... no. Is this the one you're talking about? Alienware AW3423DW curved gaming monitor, 34-inch quantum dot OLED. $800, huh? But this other one, the other one was, I think it did 250 hertz or 240 hertz. This is 175. Still good though. 200 extra dollars. It's like the disk drive from PlayStation. Krebs says, I'm not making fun of anyone. I'm making fun of the situation as a whole. Last week, $700 console is too much. $1,100 for a monitor now, that's something I can support. Well, first of all, it wasn't $1,800. It was $1,000, right? Which is 50% off. And a PlayStation would just collect dust, where my monitor I would use every single day of my life. So value is put on something, right? Now, is a PlayStation 5 Pro worth $700? For some people, absolutely it is. But for other people, $500 is what it's worth. Let's see. Am I using my PlayStation every single day of my life? Probably not. I mean, I've had these monitors. These monitors only cost me, I think, $170 each. They're Samsung 27-inch monitors. Okay. And I've had these for 5 going on 6 years. I mean, that's a 40. What was the other one? It was like 40-inch. Oh, let me go back up to it. Yeah, this is a 49-inch, 5120 by 1440, 240 hertz for $1,000, which was $1,800, 44% off. But that's exactly what they would have to do, Roic, if they buy the PlayStation 5 Pro. The people that own a PlayStation 5 Pro probably don't have a television set that does what it needs to do to support what the PlayStation 5 Pro does. So they would also have to buy a brand new thing as well on top of that, which is the same thing a person would have to do for a PC. Eclipse says, even the people that are buying it, it's not using it every single day of their lives. There's life. They own Twitter complaining about Xbox. Yeah, right. Those people love to complain about stuff they don't own or play. I mean, it's easy. I'm not purchasing the monitor. I'm also not purchasing the PlayStation 5 Pro, so I'm good. All right, I think that's it. We will be back tonight for some more gameplay. Not sure what we're going to be playing tonight, but we'll be playing something. I do appreciate you very much for coming out and hanging out with us. Again, you can listen or watch us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I'm taking this episode as soon as it's done processing. This will also be up on our website. It'll be up on our iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Anchor.fm as a podcast episode. So if you are a person that wants to listen to this, but you don't want to listen to it through YouTube or whatever for your phone, you can listen to it on Spotify. Video format and audio format is there as well. If you go to Spotify, you can type in 30NSG. You'll see the Daily Grind. You'll see Chatting With, and you'll see Generation X Gaming. So we do appreciate you very much for coming out. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We do appreciate you very much. We do live streams Monday through Thursday in the mornings. We also do live stream in the evenings for gameplay. Podcast with Chatting With this week is with Paul Chato, or Call Me Chato YouTube channel. So tune in for that on Wednesday evening. And then we do Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week. We rant along the way on Thursday nights to finish out the week. We do appreciate you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.